right, we're live, people. We're live.
Okay.
All right.
I think we're good.
That's one of the smoother startups we've had. What's going on, man?
Yeah, that is. What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you too. Good to see you too.
Sure.
You streamed yesterday, right?
Not yesterday, I think the day before. Really nothing happened yesterday. There were some escalations today. Very, very rapid and aggressive escalations in Iran between the United States.
You want to go right into the war, or do you want to go Lindsey Graham first?
We can do Lindsey Graham just because what's new with Iran? You know, Kashmir and Bandar Abbas have all been subject to U.S. strikes by CENTCOM. Donald Trump is saying he's going to get aggressive. So we can go into that. That's more or less the same thing that we saw from last week.
I also have the assassination thing too. So, okay. So, yeah, we can go right into Lindsey Graham first then. And I got here. Thank you very much, Matty P, for the 10 gifted. Appreciate you, bro. Let me see here. Let me jump on YouTube and get on here. We can cover because I got the last call with Lindsey Graham and Trump. Yeah, no, I'm shocked, man. I did not.
That was out of nowhere.
It literally came out of nowhere, dude. So yeah, let me go ahead here and let me go show you guys this thing real quick. Literally insane, dude. I was like, what the hell? Because I mean, he's one of the more active senators. He's on TV like damn near every day.
Yeah.
Did he have a social media? He didn't do social media, right? He damn near pretty much was doing social media. I saw him so much.
Yeah, I believe he had an X page, if I'm not mistaken. But this was Trump's right-hand man. So to see him go down, I guess he was just in Ukraine. They're going to talk about it now. But yeah, very, very surprising news. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was there for hours. Like people, it's so crazy. People are thinking it's like an assassination attempt by the Russians.
Two preliminary findings from the D.C. Medical Examiner, South Carolina Senator.
Okay, so these are the two preliminary findings so far. Is this Tommy Lahren? She changed her look, I guess. Brunette now?
Like her. Hold on.
I think that's her.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely a bimbo, regardless, but...
It is. Wait, is it? She
yeah,
has some serious looks maxing.
Graham
look a little better, I'm not going to lie.
That's what makeup does, bro.
Yeah, I guess so.
It's makeup maxing.
Yeah, it is. That is a lot of makeup
dissection
maxing.
due to heart disease. The U.S. Capitol is honoring the longtime senator by...
Hold on, let me turn on the turn up the volume real quick. I got you guys.
It's Jahir. Shout out to you.
For audio's always trash, bro.
Staff.
Horrible. Jahir, shout out to you.
With the White House rolling out the same honor for Graham, Mark Meredith is live at the White House with the latest. Mark?
Tommy, good evening to you. The news coming from the Senator Graham's office about the preliminary findings of this autopsy, which shows that it was an artery tear, a catastrophic one caused by likely years of cardiovascular disease. We are still awaiting the final cause of death. Those results are pending because of toxicology reports that still need to come back in. But it is an incredible turnaround of information from the senator's office, and it certainly shows the amount of interest worldwide that...
What the hell?
Graham's death is spotlighting. The senator had a huge influence on both domestic and foreign policy. He's remembered as someone who was championing for what he believed in, as well as forging relationships across the aisle. President Trump spoke to Senator Graham only hours before his death. Graham had just returned from overseas. He's at the NATO summit out in Ankara, Turkey, and had meetings with Ukraine's president. Graham, also a longtime outspoken critic of Russia and Iran, is being remembered for his passion in public service.
He was a great politician. People don't realize what a good politician he was. He could go in and get something approved. He would just get people on his side. He was really a talented. You probably never heard me say that about anybody because there aren't too many of them.
We're also hearing from former presidents, including George W. Bush, who says that Graham was a knowledgeable senator who understood how the world works and how important America's international engagement is to resist tyranny. Former President Biden also weighing in, said Lindsey and I did agree on profound importance of public service. Like me, he loved the Senate as an institution, even with all its flaws and complexities. On Capitol Hill, Graham was no doubt a fixture after serving decades in the Senate, as well as previously in the House. All day long, we've heard from his congressional colleagues who've reflected on what his death has meant to them personally.
You know, the hole that Lindsey Graham left in the Senate cannot be filled. It will need many of us to step up to the plate and take on the responsibilities that he had from a global perspective.
Yeah, if you enjoy having your sides hurt from laughing, that was Lindsey Graham to a T. He always had a joke. One of the most authentically funny people that you'll meet.
And while we have not heard from the president on camera today, he has been speaking out on phoners as well as his Truth Social post. The big headline, of course, though, is going to be this medical examiner's report, which shows it was an artery tear likely caused by years of cardiovascular disease, which killed the senator. Tommy?
Did he know he had it?
So it didn't seem like he did, but the last week, well, it didn't seem like the public knew, but if you were paying attention to what everybody was saying online, his face looked swollen like the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and people were concerned about at least some people were reporting they were concerned about his health. I didn't see any of that. But allegedly he was starting to look super unhealthy and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, because he literally...
Thank you for the 10W, brother stream. Appreciate it, man. Yes, W stream.
Yeah, so here... This is him literally in Ukraine.
Sorry.
Yeah. Probably working on some drones.
I'm pleased to announce, as of
Okay, I can see slightly what you mean.
Swollen a little bit in the face.
Yeah, a little bit.
30 minutes ago, we've reached agreement with the White House.
But you know, with these older gentlemen, man, you're just never really able to tell. They always look like shit, to be quite frank.
Yeah.
You know, Trump hasn't been looking so hot lately. He's got the whole hand situation going on, makeup. So it's really no different, and that's just the game you play when you're that old. I mean, 71 is not super old, but, you know, that's about the average lifespan in the United States. I think it's somewhere around 70, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll tell you this, bro lived until 70 because he was never married, bro. He never had to deal with women. That nigga lived a long time. You know what I mean?
And all those 7K deposits, man, they keep you going a long time.
They kept you going, yeah. He was getting that 7K every day, man, for sure.
That was a 7K every day.
Yeah,
that guy,
7K every day.
It wasn't 7K monthly. He was 7K every day. He was a special member.
And we know he was gay.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? That's what they're saying. So,
In terms of drone warfare, really.
yeah, I mean, fine, bro. Like, I can see why people think bro got assassinated. Like,
Happy birthday. Thank you very much. Happy to see you. How are you? Good. Older.
you know what I'm starting to realize now?
What a horrible scene. What a nightmare blunt rotation. Look at these two in a room.
Yeah.
And fucking Lindsey Graham. Dude, kill me. Anyways, what were you going to say?
I'm starting to realize something, dude. You know what I'm starting to realize? Graham was basically like a Secretary of State on the low.
Yeah, he was. Trump's
I'm starting to realize
man.
that. He was, I'm starting to realize that, like, because I would like think to myself, yo, why is this nigga in Israel? Why is this guy in Ukraine? Why is he over? Now it's making sense. Like, bro, this guy was an undercover, like, you know, Secretary of State on the low. Like, he could go ahead, because here's the thing, he could go abroad and no one will give a fuck.
Yeah. And one of the most unorthodox senators and how close he was to the president. Obviously, they have their history. I think they ran against each other in 2016.
They did.
And
he
was never Trumper. Just like Vance, and then Trump took him under his wing and, you know, kind of used him for his own purpose or his own good. But the thing with Lindsey Graham is this guy, you know, Alex Jones loves this term, but it really is true. He was a globalist, like never really concerned about the United States first. This guy was always Israel, Ukraine, Russia. And matter of fact, him and Trump had clashed heads a few times in regards to Ukraine and Russia. He's a very big Russia hawk, and he's always going against Russia, which is why people are saying maybe Russia poisoned him. That's where all the conspiracies are coming from. But the biggest thing about this guy, aside from him being a senator, is like, yeah, he's like an ambassador. He's like a Mike Huckabee / Secretary of State. Like, he's just, it's vague, his position. You would never think.
Now, it's hitting me now because I would remember that he would be he would travel a lot for a fucking senator, bro, and he did a lot of foreign affairs for a senator, which always had me like, what's going on here? But you know what, dude? I think unofficially, this guy would go out and do all the dirty work internationally for the Trump administration, because he would always be in places at random times. I'm like, why are you here? But then it makes sense because he's able to travel with less headaches, with less media scrutiny.
Exactly.
He's able to go ahead and meet all these people. He's a direct line to the president, so people could contact him right away. He could be an intermediary. So like, and then he would back everything the president did, everything. Even if he didn't even if it was trash, he would back him. So I'm starting to think, bro, like this guy on the low was a almost like a Secretary of State doing international affairs on the side.
He did all the dirty work that would get J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio unfavorable press going into 2028. So he was he served a very purposeful and great utility in that respect. You know, he did all the dirty work that no one else in the administration wants to carry, because that whole MAGA ship will sink after November and surely going into 2028. But, you know, it's unfortunate. You know, you reap what you sow. He's gone now, and the guy's no longer alive, so we're not going to rip on him, whatever it is, what it is. But probably one of the most evil politicians the United States has ever seen in recent history, I would argue. One of the greatest warmongers, top Israel politician, one of the top. And, you know, he was all for the Iran war, all over it. Yeah, all over it. Look,
he went to Israel a lot, dude.
You're pro-Israel, you're pro-Trump. The two are synonymous at this point, you know. So long as you're on Israel's side, Trump can find utility for you, and that's what happened with him. But very, very sudden death. I was very shocked to see that in the headlines. That's not what I was expecting to read.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat is saying Russia did it. Look, who knows? We'll wait for the facts to come out. It doesn't sound crazy, you know. It makes sense, but who really knows? Who really knows?
Yeah, no, you know, I'm not gonna go ahead and be like everybody else, like, oh, I'm glad he's dead and all this other shit. You know, I've always thought that was very, you know, very in poor taste. You know, I think American politicians dying is always bad, even if I don't agree with them. I think that's what makes this country great, is that we can have difference of opinion. But yeah, I mean, it definitely is strange. You know, the guy was very healthy. He was I would say he was probably one of the most famous senators. He was on TV all the time doing interviews. He was on Fox News damn near every other day giving updates. You know, he would do a lot of, and you know when someone passes away, then you actually like start analyzing like, well, what was the guy doing? Bro, this guy was on the phone with foreign leaders like every other day, which is normally not what a senator does. Like that's not, he's supposed to be representing
his state.
You know, his state, South Carolina. This guy did foreign affairs most of the time.
Yeah.
Like, now that you think of it, like, well, now that I look back and I think to myself, wait, every time he was on TV, he was talking about bombing Iran, we need to support Ukraine, Putin is bad, you know, the Ayatollah is bad, and like, he just did a lot. Like, think of another senator that did this level of foreign affairs. So that's what made me realize, like, oh, this is a big hit for the Trump administration, because this guy would probably did all the dirty work. And then also, he used to always say, I just got off the phone with the president, I just got off the phone with the president. Bro, this is a direct, like, for a senator, that's a lot of access directly to the president. So I truly do think that he was used to kind of go around shit and get the dirty work done internationally. That's what I think.
You're entirely right. You're entirely right. I mean, why would we ever put it past Donald Trump, of all people, the guy who's been responsible for the most corruption we've seen in history, to utilize a senator for conspicuous international affairs so he can keep his vice president and secretary of state who have presidential aspirations in good light? I mean, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
But
he has all the dislikable, he has all the foreign affairs takes that no one in MAGA likes.
And dude, he was spewing all the anti-Iran rhetoric early, before the war had started and right after. He was on Fox News. I have the video here, you know, berating Iran, saying we need to completely destroy them, and we've killed all the bad people in Gaza and all. I have a couple of these videos queued up. Yeah, I was building something.
Yeah, you can give me the, if you want, give me the links, or you can, or you can put it up if you want,
folks.
I can pop it up.
I would recommend that you send.
Yeah, bro. Like, look at this shit. Like, nigga, this is a senator. What the fuck?
Mr. Murphy. Mr. Murphy.
Oh. Can you think of another senator that met with this many foreign leaders?
No, not even close. Not even.
I can't think of one, bro.
Dude, who was the other one? What's the other senator in South Carolina? Tim Scott. That dude is running a lone ship, bro. This is just him.
Who?
I think it's Tim Scott, the other senator in South Carolina, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. He's representing all South Carolina by himself.
Yeah, that nigga's alone.
You know, but like, yo, not like, and again, you never notice what people do a lot of the times until they pass.
Yes.
And in my head, I'm like, yo, I cannot think of another senator that did this much foreign affairs and traveled as much as he did and talked to, like, dude, like, people don't understand, right? And the government's very big on chain of command, right? A senator talking to prime ministers and presidents of other countries?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Incredibly unusual, to say the least.
Of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu.
Oh.
Another longtime friend and ally.
And I love Lindsey. I love Mr. Graham. He was amazing for the Israeli people. Let's see. I had that queued up, so this is perfect. I want to hear this.
Prime Minister Netanyahu, welcome back to me.
He was in Israel a lot during the war. He was in Israel a lot.
And my condolences to you.
Well, thank you.
Another thing too. Let me just say this. How many times do you want to bet that Netanyahu probably wouldn't meet with the president? Like, bro, that's too many meetings. I'm just gonna send Lindsey.
Yeah, 1,000,000%.
Because he can't send Vance or Marco Rubio. That's too much attention.
Yeah.
Even Pete Hegseth going over there last week was a big deal. So just send Lindsey Graham.
He's the Israeli envoy, certainly. He's the Israel guy. Makes total sense. I agree.
Makes sense now, bro. Because like they probably wanted me like 20 times. It was like, no, the media's gonna know too much. It's been 7 times already. We're gonna send Lindsey.
I prefer this time to meet Mr. Graham instead. Me and Trump had enough meetings. Did enough sales to Trump about getting into war.
And I'm in a state of shock because, as President Trump said, Lindsey was so vibrant. He was so full of life. He was so full of energy and dedication that it's hard to accept the fact that he is no more. I think America has lost a great patriot. Israel has lost one of the great champions of the American-Israeli alliance. And frankly, I've lost a beloved friend who I've had for many decades.
Agent.
I ain't gonna lie. This is a big L for this is a big loss for Israel.
Yeah.
Losing him.
And this just adds to like the constant L's. Not only that Israel's really gotten everything they wanted because Trump's done everything they pretty much asked of him for the last 4 or 5 years, or the last 2 years. But, there's some L's on their record as well. Losing Lindsey Graham is huge. Right, and who's going to fill that? Now there's going to be an aggressive race to fill that seat. Who's going to take that seat? We see the DSA push. Obviously, South Carolina's Republican. It's Republican opening, but you just never know these days. All the anti-Israel rhetoric is getting really popular. This is a bad time to lose your top guy in the United States when the anti-Israel propaganda is at an all-time high. So, very, very unideal for Mr. Bibi. You could tell he's pretty stressed there. His eyes look red. He looks pretty restless. So
I don't know how
they're working overtime.
I'm trying to think here. Like, I'm trying to think if there's another senator as pro-Israel as Lindsey Graham. Is there one that you can think of? Chat. Is there anyone that you guys could think of that's more? I can't think of another senator that's more pro-Israel than him, bro. Like,
I mean, on what they're voting for, maybe, but in terms of what they're saying to the media,
Cruz, bro. They're saying Ted Cruz. I don't think Ted Cruz is more pro-Israel than Lindsey Graham, bro.
Ted Cruz is not going to Israel every other day.
He's very pro-Israel. But Lindsey Graham was meeting with these niggas every time. You guys understand that, like, he would go to Israel? Like, Lindsey Graham was in Israel during the war?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ted Cruz is a big one. But I think Lindsey Graham is way bigger than Ted Cruz.
Yeah, you got Randy Fine, Ted Cruz. Somebody said Randy Fine in my chat. The thing is,
Randy Fine.
Yeah, you have. Okay,
he's a rep. He's not a senator. He's a rep.
Yeah. He's a rep in Congress. You have Randy Fine is considerable, but obviously he's representative. Ted Cruz is big. And Ted Cruz really caught a lot more emotion, or like he caught a lot of attention after the Tucker Carlson
Schumer can't anymore, bro. Schumer hides it now. Because he's a Democrat Party. Schumer hides his pro-Israelness.
The difference between you're good. The difference between Graham and the others is like Graham was really mobilized. Like he was doing shit for Israel.
Yeah.
He wasn't just spewing rhetoric and voting on legislation like a good boy. Like he was doing things, And it's not just Israel. This guy's been a warmonger since 2003 when he first joined the Senate. So it's a long time that he's got skin in the game in this, warmongering international affairs thing. This is not new for him. But yeah, everybody's saying Ted Cruz, Tom Cotton. Yeah, there's a few, but Lindsey Graham is top dog for Israel.
Yeah, facts. Enjoy the shadow on, bitch. Stupid ass motherfucker. He said, "Stop cutting your brother off." Nigga, I didn't even cut him off. Shut the fuck up. Yeah, you guys are naming a bunch of people. Remember, guys, I asked you who's a more pro-Israel senator than Lindsey Graham. Ted Cruz, definitely not. I think Lindsey Graham is number one, bro. Because Lindsey Graham actually used to meet heads of state, dude, as a senator, foreign heads of state.
Inside of Congress, though, Randy Fine is notable, certainly. He's,
of course,
the whole
but in the
streets of Gaza will fill with blood. Like, that guy's bad.
But I meant senator. They said Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller's not a senator. You niggas are retarded, bro. Niggas said Stephen Miller. No, not Stephen Miller at all. And Stephen Miller, what is he? I think does Miller even have a senator approved position? Yeah, he's is he like
White House Deputy Chief of Staff.
There you go. Under starts with S. Susie Wiles.
Yes.
Under Susie Wiles. Yeah. Is that even a Senate confirmation position? I don't even think you need a Senate confirmation for that.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because I don't know if Miller could get past let me double check. Yeah, I think that's like more of a ceremonial position, like an envoy is. But yeah, I think Lindsey Graham is probably the most pro-Israel senator we've ever had. I think he beats Ted Cruz big time because Ted Cruz was the one meeting with Netanyahu and going to Israel as often as Graham was, and going to Ukraine and shit.
It's literally not even close. It's literally not even close.
But Cruz is a big one. Cruz, that is true. Cruz is a big one.
Just no one like him.
Well, Mr. Prime Minister, Senator Graham was one of the leading voices advocating for Israel, advocating for expanding the Abraham Accords. Every time I talked to him, he wanted to talk about this.
Taking over the Golan Heights, by the way. That was his most recent line of rhetoric. They need to take over the Golan Heights, which is about to happen. So yeah, there's that as well. Pretty much, guys, if you're unfamiliar with how extreme he was for Israel, he was in full support of their expansionist project, like a Mike Huckabee. Like, remember that slip up that Mike Huckabee had when he was like, well, I think Israel should just take all of it or something like that. And then all of the Arab states launched a joint letter and said, yo, fuck what that nigga said. Lindsey Graham is pretty much similar to that. So
Yep. And less apologetic about it.
Yeah.
What does his loss mean not only for you, but the people of Israel? What do you think the impact is?
They lost their biggest senator.
Globally.
Bro is pretty much an Israeli senator.
In Israel, it's grief. In Iran, it's celebration, because Lindsey never confused good and evil. He knew exactly where the Iranian regime...
Oh, someone said even Ben Gvir tweeted about him? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tells you everything you need to know. It tells you everything you need to know.
Danger, not merely to Israel and to America's allies in the Middle East.
Oh, no, I got to send another stupid nigga to the shadow room. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Enjoy the shadow room, nigga.
But to America itself. And he just never wavered. You know, he was so clear. He had clarity, he had courage, he had the convictions that he believed were at the basis of America. That's I always use it like the Superman comics. You remember freedom, justice, and the American way. He represented these traditional values, and Christian, he never flinched. He was absolutely.
Hang on, this is perfect. This is perfect. Yeah, he represented American values. Dude, look at my screen, bro. This is a 10-second clip. Is all you need to see here.
All right, go ahead. Share it.
All the anti-Semites to all the isolationists. I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day.
Like, bro, what? Talking about he's pro-America. Okay.
Yeah, that sums it perfectly. Like, he hated guys like us that are like more of a non-interventionalist. He was a full-on interventionalist.
Full interventionist, bro. All over Venezuela, all over Ukraine. That's what I'm saying. This guy was a warmonger, international politician. What the fuck has he done in South Carolina? Can anyone tell me? I don't know. I don't live in the state. I don't really care about South Carolina. I don't know, like, everybody knows.
They don't even know. Wait, who's a set? Yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like, it's honestly laughable. But you actually bring up a really good point. You were saying, like, oh, just Trump utilized this guy for his own dirty deeds overseas. And that's true. Like, you just can't put that past Trump. He's such a corrupt president. Not to, be a virtue signaling liberal, but he is. Like, the crypto rug pull, like all the stuff going on with Jared Kushner, like, pretty obvious. Trump is kind of cooked in November. And so certainly plausible that this guy had everything to do with that as well.
Like what I've noticed with Trump is like Trump has no problem like bending the bureaucracy to his advantage, and like obviously someone like Lindsey Graham is a fantastic tool because he creates the aura of I'm just a senator, but the reality is that he can go ahead and do the White House's bidding surreptitiously without like the same media scrutiny that like if a Marco Rubio or a Hegseth or anyone in the cabinet goes to a foreign country, that's gonna be reported all over the place. But with him, sometimes he'll call in from Tel Aviv. Yeah, I'm in Israel right now, blah, blah. Niggas are like, wait, what? And, and he could do that, right? He can do that and go over there and work and, because he has the contacts of all the heads of state. So, he kind of like a lot of people don't know this. When Bush came in, right? Bush didn't have any motion in D.C. Dick Cheney did. So Dick Cheney effectively was like, he was kind of the president of the United States, but nobody knew it. So with the whole Iraq war, he was orchestrating everything because he had the connections from years of being, in Washington, D.C. So he was the one running the entire Iraq war, doing everything behind the scenes. He had all the connections to do things. Same thing with Graham. He's been in forever. He knows all these heads of state. If I have someone that's aligned with me that I trust in the Senate, just have him do everything. And then, like I said before, the amount of times that he talked to the president was always weird to me. Like he would go on the news and he'd always say, I just got off the phone with the president. I just got off the phone with the president. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. He's the one that's conveying a message on behalf of the fucking White House, and he's there doing international affairs without the same level of scrutiny as, like you said. And then the other thing I like that you mentioned that, like Rubio and Vance have to be very careful with everything that they do.
They have to toe that line very carefully. Very carefully.
And this war is very unpopular. So,
And this guy was one of the main architects of the Iran war. He's been spewing the anti-Iran rhetoric for he's never been shy about it. At times J.D. Vance is kind of like, maybe Iran, maybe not Iran. But this guy's been full-fledged against Iran from day one because of his loyalty to Israel. So he's a dirty pawn, and Trump can use him however he sees fit because his favorability doesn't matter. He's always going to have that seat in South Carolina and do the bidding. And it's honestly an expert play on Trump's part. Not that I'm supporting it, but it's a very bad day in Israel. That I can say, and a very bad day for Netanyahu, because that's a lot of influence they're losing. And not only the strings that this guy is pulling behind the scenes and what he's doing for Trump internationally, but just him being a media figure, going on Fox News and defending Trump's actions and defending the Iranian war. He played a big part in that as well. So that's also going to deal a big blow to the MAGA administration too. They don't have many moving pieces left that are willing to defend this war. Tulsi Gabbard's gone. Obviously, Joe Kent wasn't significant, but even he's gone. He became famous for leaving. And then now you got all of the big podcasters like Tucker, Candace, Megyn. They're all against Trump. Trump is losing loyalists fast. They're dropping like flies. Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, and J.D. Vance are the only ones left, and maybe one of them will turn real soon. Maybe Marco when he decides to step out and run for in 28. Who knows?
This photo illustrates, like, here he is with John McCain. This was Bush era more than likely, this photograph. Like this... for those of you guys that don't know, McCain ran against Obama in 2008. This probably was a Bush era photo. The guy's been around forever.
Yo, this nigga Netanyahu don't age, bro. He's doing all the demonic rituals. He looks exactly the same, bro.
He looks the same.
Yeah,
hair's
bro.
just a little bit white, but he pretty much looks the same, bro.
Yeah,
but
bro.
but this is I think
really quick, Tears and Pistols, thank you so much for the 15 gifted, my friend. Appreciate you. Don DeMarco for you, bro. Big support of the show, Tears and Pistols. Thank you. W's in the chat. Tell him thank you if you just got a membership. Thank you, my friend. Go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. But like I said before, you don't really notice what people do until they're gone. But yeah, this guy, Lindsey Graham, is like, the last of the old guard with the neocons, the John Boltons, the Bushes, the McCains, the Dick Cheneys, the pro-war, let's get rid of our enemies, let's do full interventionism, etc. Like he is, he's like one of the last neocons left, right? Because a lot of them have either died off or kind of like been shunned. So for Israel, this is a big fucking L, dude. Big L.
Caring about the winds of fashion. He believed something. He spoke about it. He spoke about it directly and with candor. And if
more for Israel. It doesn't get more. Yeah, bro.
Unpleasant, he would do so.
That's just crazy, dude. Dude, what is going on in this nation, man? You just hold up a sign that says "More for Israel" as a U.S. politician. You should be deported for shit like that. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. And like I said before, the crazy part is if you pull a random person on the street and you ask them, hey, what state does Lindsey Graham represent? If they even know that he's a senator, they won't know. Wait, I don't know. That's how much he did foreign affairs.
I thought he was the pro-Israel Fox guy. That's all they'll know about him, really.
And sometimes I always say that I knew something bad was coming when you said, well, you know, you want to take it from a good old Southern boy from me who doesn't know much about the world, and then he'd bring it in, you know. He was so smart and so full of conviction and dedication that it's these qualities, and I think the president spoke about it. He was at once a great politician, but I think beyond that, I think he was just an incredible patriot for America.
You talked about the fact that he has as many friends and some enemies. You heard President Trump say he could be a tough cookie. He talked about the fact that Iran had threatened him. Did he have concerns? How did he process the fact that he was quite outspoken and not afraid to engage in tough debates?
Well, he was absolutely fearless. You know, we spoke about it more than once, but he was fearless, as he should be. He's a leader in public life, and you have to take those risks. But I frankly hope to have many more years of friendship with him, and enjoyed his indefatigable and incorrigible honesty. He was very honest about his views, and the amazing thing about Lindsey Graham is he put it directly. You know, he said, you know, I stand with Israel openly. I know that the winds of fashion blow in another way. I couldn't care less. Sometimes he'd incorporate some words that I won't repeat now, but he was just so clear, so courageous, both for his own personal safety, but also for what he believed was absolutely necessary for America. And he believed that Israel's security and America's security are intertwined. It wasn't just a spin or anything like that. It was something he held deeply for many decades, and I could see his contributions, because he sometimes tried to out-negotiate me. You know, it's just unbelievable. You know, we had with 3 American presidents, with President Clinton, President Obama, and President Trump, we had memorandums of understandings for support for Israel's military, which, by the way, I think we have time now we've come of age and we're able to draw them down to zero. But he would argue with me. He would say, no, you know, for ballistic missile defense, that's important for you, it's important for America. Whatever is the number, it has to be bigger. And I said, Lindsey, we can do with a smaller number.
It's unbelievable, dude. I'm reading a quote now out of Axios. He said, I can't die now. I still need to do the Russia sanctions, get Iran sorted out, and do Israeli-Saudi normalization. This guy was a patriot. Worried about everything that benefits Israel. Everything.
Yeah,
the biggest neocon in the Senate by far.
This is probably one of the few times that Netanyahu's not lying when he's saying this shit. He's actually telling the truth about this shit, saying, no, you guys need more ballistic missiles.
This is I was just going to say, this is one of the few guys in the United States, serving politics in the United States, that was probably telling Netanyahu to do more maximal things for Israel's interest than he himself would have thought made sense. Like, no, you need more missiles. You really think so? Okay, well, maybe we'll build more. Like, bro, it's just... honestly, and I'm like looking at all the MAGA shills crying about this, and that's the biggest like black pill to me. Like, wow, like people don't understand how detrimental this guy was to our foreign policy. But you know, you can't teach these people. They'll never learn. Never learn.
Yeah. Yep. He definitely did the dirty work, bro. He was always like, for some odd reason, like he was always abroad when some shit was going down.
Yeah.
Notice that?
Always.
Like, oh yeah. Yeah, we're bringing in Lindsey Graham from Jerusalem. Wait, what?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Made no sense.
No, you can't. And then he would go to the Senate and actually, can you imagine this? He would outbid the Prime Minister of Israel. He said, I'm not getting a single...
Hey, Jarhead, thank you very much for the big 25. Appreciate you, bro. All you brokies in chat better say thank you to Jarhead, man. He's helping you guys out with the subs, man. Somebody said, was he a Jew? No, he was just super pro-Israel, and he's always been pro-Israel his entire career, bro.
Political career since 03.
His entire political career. Like, this guy how long was this guy a fucking senator? Like, decade. Like, hold on, let me look
I
and see,
believe
bro.
23 years, if I'm not mistaken, or 20 years.
Bro had a picture with McCain, bro. Like, what?
Yeah.
Vote in South Carolina for that because,
time.
you know,
Well, that's the thing. He's been there for so long. He brings that
South Carolina,
ancient.
and the people, yes, they support.
My bad. He brings that ancient neoconservatism with him. You know, he's one of the last like true. You know, people say like neocons. There's not really that many that exist anymore. At least as aggressive as he is. You know, so
over 23 years.
Yeah, 23 years. Yeah, so he's the face of a very old and dying movement, which is neoconservatism, which has taken a new face now, right? But
he came in 03. What else happened in 03? Iraq War.
Operation
March
Iraqi
of 03.
Freedom.
Yep. The worst war ever.
Support Israel, my constituency, but I support Israel, and I think you need more, and I'm going to fight for this. This is who Lindsey Graham was. He went with his convictions, and yet he was an amazingly able politician.
Ryad, he was an evangelical Christian too, wasn't he?
I don't know his religious standing, but just from his politics, he had to have been. He had to have been.
He's got to be a Ted Cruz type guy, bro.
Let's see. Lindsey.
I'm going to look it up.
To be able to talk to people on the other side of the aisle, and he did that very often.
He loved engaging in the debate, and it's so fascinating to hear you say that he was not afraid to out-debate you on this core issue for Israel. If he were here today, and it's still just such a shock that he's not, he would want to talk about Iran. He would want to talk about the conflict with Iran, Mr. Prime Minister. I spoke to him throughout the course of this week. He thought that a more robust military...
Okay, yeah, he was a Southern Baptist, an active member of the Corinth Baptist Church in Seneca, South Carolina. So he was an evangelical Christian. Yep.
Absolutely.
Full on. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Just like Ted Cruz. One of these, you bless Israel, Israel bless you type niggas.
Yeah. All the Southern Baptists, you know, like Bible Belt, very, you know, American-ist Christians, they're all evangelical. They all support the idea of an expansionist state of Israel and the third temple being reconstructed so the return of Jesus Christ can ensue. They believe all of those things must necessitate his return, you know, or they have to be prior to it. So that's their belief.
Like what do they call them? Like accelerationist Christians, something like that.
No, I've never heard that term. I know it's just evangelical, Zio Christians are the two terms I've heard. There's a lot of them, you know, and you see it more so in like America. The loose mainline. Yeah, America. You really don't find that in Europe nearly as much. You find that in the mainline Protestant church, you know, like the, you know, very lukewarm Christians, not the Catholics, not within Catholicism. You won't find it in Orthodoxy or even many other sects or denominations of Christianity. But within, you know, that like a lot of those, you know, loose Protestant line churches, they do believe in, you know, the greater good of Israel so that Jesus Christ can return, when that's all redacted in the New Testament. But these people don't know how to read the Bible. So,
yeah.
Was needed in this moment after President Trump had declared the ceasefire over. Do you agree with that, or are you on the same page with President Trump about that? How do you see this moving forward?
I think President Trump wants to exhaust the possibility of achieving an agreement, especially on the nuclear issue, through negotiations. But he is obviously not shy of using force when the Iranians break every commitment they make, and usually a few hours or a few minutes after.
You mean you break every commitment that we make? You were supposed to leave Lebanon, buddy, but you guys decided not to. And is that crazy that that's insane that he's even saying this? It's like, no, bro, we're still involved in this conflict because you niggas will not leave southern Ukraine. Southern Lebanon.
Yeah.
Like, that's why we're in this fucking shitty ass situation right now. And the fact that he won't concede, whatever, bro. I know what they're gonna say. A lot of the Israelis say, "Oh well, we weren't a part of that MOU, so we don't have any obligation to align with it." But it's like, but we're the ones that covered for you, dumbass niggas.
Yeah.
Because I don't even care about the money. Because like, and Netanyahu's trying to say, "Oh, we don't want the foreign aid." Dude, the foreign aid isn't the problem. It's the political cover that we give them. That's what's immeasurable. That's you can't put a price on. That's what really protects Israel, is the political cover that they get.
Yeah, and us stepping in anytime they face an existential threat. If Iran hails down all of its ballistic missiles on Israel, we have to get involved. And it's not even really because, look, of course, the main reason is because we support Israel. Their donors have their tentacles extended all across politics in the United States, whatever. We get that. But it's also because Israel's a nuclear power, and they are the only one in the Middle East. And so if they're pushed into far enough of a corner, they might use those nuclear weapons. And then we'll have a blackout in the Middle East. It'll be total war. It'll be chaos, destruction. It'll look like the end of the world for that region. So that's another reason why we have to be militarily involve ourselves every time they're outmatched, which is certainly the case with Iran. Militarily, Iran possesses far more firepower than Israel if they didn't have us by extension as a defense mechanism. And, you know, of course they know that. So they pose that moral hazard against us.
I think we should let the president have his opportunity. You know, Israel is keenly grateful for the fact that America and Israel joined forces to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons and the means to deliver them, not only against us, but against the.
It's actually impressive how he's like
same
memorizes
thing every time. It's a
West
script.
West
It's a
against
script,
the United
dude.
States. Now, people don't understand how close that was, and the fact that we had these two operations, which are called Midnight Hammer and Epic Fury, we call Rising Line and Roaring Line. We actually drove it back. We removed this immediate and present danger of Iran with nuclear weapons that would have posed a danger to everybody.
Actually, no.
Lindsey was.
Iran is
He
more
talked to me
dangerous
about it.
now.
He said,
That's just so not true. Iran is probably and arguably more dangerous now than they ever have been, because they have every single reason now. If they didn't before, now they have every valid reason to pursue a nuclear weapon and an extensive, intricate missile arsenal, which they already have, but they're probably deepening as we're speaking now in these underground cities in which they were building up before the war, during the war, and during this entire whole MOU, like weird ceasefire situation. So militarily, Iran is most capable now. And the biggest thing, we'll talk about this in a moment, but a little sneak peek, Iran has become more bold than they ever have been. I mean, they're striking any ship in the Strait that doesn't follow their directions, even minorly. You know, ships flirt with the idea of using an Omani waterway and right away, drone strike. You know, and that's just not something that Iran seemed like they were willing to do in the beginning stages of the ceasefire. But now they've got total control over the Strait. Now they're not worried about U.S. escalation because really they kind of hold all the cards. And the only way the United States can gain escalation dominance is by launching an aerial assault, bombing Tehran again, bombing all of Iran, the coastline, in full fashion for over a week. But then that guarantees that our Gulf allies will be hit as a result too. So, you know, they kind of know what position they're in and they're taking full advantage of it. So this is the most dangerous Iran we've ever seen. To be honest, like, let's be real, Iran has never been more dangerous than right now. And we created that enemy. We created that issue.
And they even, I think they just put out a message to all the Gulf states telling people to watch out.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I think they put a message out to, did you see that?
I did,
I saw it on my
I did.
right before I came on that they put out a message to Kuwait and a lot of these countries saying, you know, hey, watch
They're already
out.
hitting oil ports in Kuwait and Bahrain. So, yeah, it's a matter of time until a lot of GC suffers. And CENTCOM right now, as we speak, is actively striking Iran and the entire coastline. So, everything you want to see. Right when Lindsey Graham dies, you know, it's just like, look at the timing. He's getting exactly what he wanted, even though he's not even here anymore.
Oh, my God. Oh, apparently, did you hear that Rabbi Shmuley's daughter scolded Kavlicki over the HH? I'll pull that up after.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'll pull it up after we look at the
situation.
The top J after we finish the top J. Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
He came to me and said, "Bibi, you have to do it. You have to knock out these nuclear weapons program before they knock us out." He was very clear about that. By the way, as was President Trump throughout the many years that I've known him. He didn't move. You know, he didn't say, "Oh well, maybe it's not fashionable to say it now. Maybe public opinion has turned against it." He couldn't care less. I mean,
yeah, he didn't give a shit at all. That's true.
He was aware of it, but it didn't change his convictions, and he did what he thought was good for America, and he thought that a strong Israel is good for a strong America, and vice versa, of course.
Before I let you go, I do want to give you the opportunity.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay, you know what? Let me be finished. Let's see what he has to say.
Okay.
If you would like to respond to Congressman Roana, he is going to be on this
Oh, yeah, we need to talk about Roana at the West Bank, too. That was crazy.
That was nuts.
We got to talk about that, too.
broadcast. He says he visited the West Bank. He was blocked by...
Bro was a Palestinian and didn't like it at all. How does it feel? It sucks, doesn't it, huh?
It
sucks, doesn't it?
Settlers wielding guns. He says the IDF did not help.
The nigga found out what it was like to be a Philistini, man.
You fuse this situation. Do you have any comment on that this morning, Mr. Prime Minister?
Yeah, we're a country of laws, and people who break the law, we take them to court. The in
myself included.
Yeah, literally. You're breaking the law.
the West.
CNN just pressed him on this, by the way. I have that queued up, but we may not have time, so we can cover that tomorrow.
I watched it with the girl.
That's really good. Yeah, we can take a look at that at some point too.
Yeah, it's finally someone asking real questions. Yeah.
Fine. See, look, dude.
We've had
I'm gonna. Sorry, don't shoot the messenger. CNN specifically, their coverage on the West Bank has been perfect. They've been covering everything Israel is trying to hide.
Barry White.
Yeah, Barry White's gonna shut that shit down.
Enjoy it while you can.
Dude, and it's only on TikTok. It's like on CNN's TikTok. You can see these like very detailed stories with these journalists that are dedicated to the West Bank, covering like villagers getting beaten and livestock being destroyed. You can't find it anywhere else. It's like no articles, no YouTube videos. But if you go on the TikTok, it's not bad. So yeah, they've been pretty good on it, I must admit.
And that's exactly why she's getting sent over there. They're about to switch all that shit up.
That shit is short-lived. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, juvenile.
And people forget, I think CNN is the only American broadcast company that's in Iran.
Oh, is it really?
They're in Iran, yeah. They're in Iran.
I know that. Interesting.
They are there. Yep.
Delinquents that are not part of that community. They come from the other parts of Israel. We are, I don't want vigilantes of any kind. And we are working to put them under the law. But I
see how he has that plausible deniability on them. Hey, they're not from Israel. Technically, they're the West Bank. That's not Israel.
Yeah.
See how is it? But what he won't admit is that the IDF and the police still oversee the West Bank. So Ben Gvir still has oversight of the West Bank. I remember me and you looked this up. They still patrol and still have oversight of it.
Brutally occupied militarily.
Yep.
Perspective. We should see that we have thousands.
But he has that political, leeway to be like, oh, that's not even Israel. Like, these guys are not Israelis. Oh, even though they're fucking expanding the West Bank and there's like almost 1 million of these motherfuckers over there.
Of attacks. And some few, but obvious breaking of the law, then we apply the full measure of the law against them. Israel, unlike our neighbors, is a democracy and a country of law, and we act against those who break the law.
All right. Exactly what any American boomer wants to hear.
Unless you're the prime minister, of course.
Yeah. Look how he just speaks to like the boomers. It's music to their ears. We're a democracy and we must enforce the rules. Like, all right, very far from that.
As
but
you
anyways,
have said, one of your staunchest allies was Senator Lindsey Graham, and we cannot thank you enough for coming on this program to remember his life and this legacy in this moment of national mourning. Thank you so much, Mr. Prime Minister. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I wanted to quickly cover this as well. This is another reason, very, very quickly, I'll just go over this. And, this is not like some astute or very, deep analysis, but just something to pay attention to. So this is Kamala Harris on X, I believe, today. And she says, I am saddened to learn of, I think it's Steve Harvey here. I am saddened to learn of the passing of my former colleague, Senator Lindsey Graham. He was full of wit, energy, and charm, and he cared deeply about the Senate and the people of South Carolina. Doug and I are sending our thoughts and prayers to his friends and loved ones. Now, of course, look, the guy was an American politician, so of course she's going to extend her condolences. But you bet your ass, everybody on the left is not going to like that. And actually, I should have showed the responses. Really take a quick look here. Girls save it. Actually, why you lost the election, you are fake as fuck. Drop the act. Here's your former colleague, Lindsey Graham, calling for Israel to nuke Gaza. 2 million people live there, in case you didn't know.
Yeah, play that. You can hear it. Play that.
Okay. When you look at the last few years, since October 7th, many people in this part of the world say what happened in Gaza does not align with Christian values. Killing children, killing mothers,
well, be honest
killing
with
families
you.
who are not militants.
Yeah, I don't buy that at all.
Why?
Because what did we do in World War II? Did we think 1 minute about starving the Germans? Did we bomb every city into smithereens? So this is a war. No,
October 7th to World War II.
Yes, I am. This is an absolute existential threat to the Jewish people. What happened on October the 7th?
He's so evil, man. It just says it's so evil.
Was 1,200 people slaughtered, raped, and murdered and filmed by radical Islamists who would kill every Jew if they could, to the world. If you don't understand this is a threat to Israel's
survival. And then
survival,
they flattened Gaza.
Just flatten it. We flattened Berlin. We flattened Tokyo. Were we wrong to drop an atomic bomb to end the Japanese reign of terror? Were we? So my view, if I were Israel, I would have probably done it the same way. Without military victory, there is no hope of breaking radicalism. We flattened Germany. We flattened Japan.
How many Americans
Wait a
believe
minute.
this?
Out of that,
the way that how many Americans think the way that you do?
I think most Republicans think.
Honestly, there's too many, unfortunately. But
the
it's
boomers
a dying
do,
cause. It's a dying cause.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's a dying cause because they're all not going to be
He's
with
from
us
the
in a
old
few
school.
years. But
He's
here's
from the
the
old school.
so you can see the person that Kamala is extending her condolences to, unfavorable to us on the right. Now imagine how the left looks at this. And so you think about all these things, the DSA is going to walk all over this type of shit. You know, because now the Democratic Socialists of America, like the Mamdanis and the Daria Lizas and this girl who just won in Colorado, I forget her name, but she was on a Hassan Piker stream. You know, what are they going to say to these kinds of things? What are they going to extend when these kinds of people die in office? And it's going to be the thing that the young people want to hear, which is no sympathy for all of these Israel shills and these people who are calling for genocide. So, you know, Kamala may run again, but maybe it's just the case now that the mainline Democratic Party that has a very vague and loose alliance to Israel that they're not as public or proud about like the Republicans are, maybe there's no more steam on that train either. So that's very interesting, something to keep your eyes on ahead of the road. But I really do think the Democrats are done, like the mainline Democrat, and they've already conceded. We covered that. You know,
Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, these guys got to shift their entire, you know, worldview in politics now. And like, and the Democrat Party, like, if you're not saying yes, death to Lindsey Graham, like, you're not, like, that is the new Democrat Party is radical socialism, violence, Antifa. Fuck the Republicans. They don't deserve to live. Like any Democrat that says anything like, oh, R.I.P. Lindsey Graham or whatever, they're going to say, fuck you, you're a traitor, and he deserves to die. You know what I mean? Like, these people are fucking sick, dude.
Dude,
like,
if Trump dies and you extend your condolences and they see you doing that, they will ban you from their movement. They will completely outcast you. You know, there's no room, there's no capitulation, there's no negotiating with those people. So, you know, it's concerning. It's certainly concerning, but it's a new wave that's growing, and we have to address it. We have to be kind of cognizant of these things.
Yeah, no, it's fucking ridiculous, dude. It's absolutely ridiculous. But like they're pro-violence, dude. You know, like again, like for me and you don't agree with his politics or whatever, but we're not going to sit here and be, like cheer for his death either. Like that's kind of weird. I don't agree with his foreign policy was horrible. It was trash. But I think that's the beauty of the United States is like we can have disagreements and debate and discussions on it. But like I think wishing for anyone's death is kind of where things start to get weird and strange.
Yeah, we never do that, right? You're not wishing for nobody's death. But look, I'm not losing sleep, and I'm certainly indifferent to his death. And it's the same thing. Like, look, we agree with so many, or we disagree with so many of these far-right neocon, Zionist shills, whatever. And Charlie Kirk being one of them. But when Charlie Kirk was shot, I was horrified. You know, that was very unsettling for me. And I could never see myself on the other side celebrating something like that. Even though I full-on hated the guy and didn't agree with anything on his politics except what he said about Iran, which is war in Iran is a disaster. Funny enough, that was the one thing he actually got right that came true today. But, you know, in respects to everything else he said, I completely, vehemently disagreed with him. But I will say, when somebody dies, you know, that's where we separate ourselves from the left and we don't jump up and down and parade. Yeah. I think that's a bit weird. I think there's a lack of humanity there. Yeah, so, you know, Lindsey Graham reaped what he sowed. He's no longer with us, and his retribution will be there for him in afterlife. It's just that simple, and that's it. You know, we don't jump up and down and throw parties and do TikTok trends about him dying. That's just weird and you know, not professional in my opinion.
Yeah, that's what weirdo progressives do, bro. Here we can go back to watching because we were watching Tommy Lahren here from before. Let me see. Did you have a video that you want to show before I pull her back up?
No. You can pull it up.
Okay, let me get her on here.
Mark Meredith, thank you so much.
Reflected on what his death has meant to them personally.
You know, the hole that Lindsey Graham left in the Senate cannot be filled. It will need many of us to step up to the plate and...
I'll read super chats. Actually, no, I'll read them real quick right now. Tempting Cirque says, WFNF Alex Rosen, hilarious how dumb these 304s are. That 304 literally said the N-word, and so did the Weave Warrior, and Alex just quotes what they said, and they got mad. Yeah, well, what do you expect, bro? Kate says, Myron, given your background, I decide what's your take on the Nolan Wells case. A lot of interesting things that are happening regarding that case. It's not really a case that HSI would investigate, bro. Trunk Silver, hey, Myron, I've been flying more often, even though I'm over the road trucking a lot. Okay, congrats, Trunk Silver. Mr. Clapcheek says, Russia killed him allegedly. They bombed the drone production site he visited. It's not too far off that he got killed. Sudden illness doesn't make sense. Okay. Tagore, life is crazy. One day you're here, another day you're gone. Yep. Primo Familia. Marin, would you continue to trust Unsaid America? They took Zionist money, or is it open to do business with Zionists? They don't take money from them. What are you talking about? Tears of Pistol supporting the show as always. OSS, thank you. Last of Grace, I know, yo, shut up about Ryad is smarter than your whole bloodline. Okay, he's talking to somebody. Martin, would you deal with AOC? You guys are perverts and weirdos. Okay, niggas asking dumbass questions. Sirach No Diddy says, check this link where U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham openly prefers to help Israel rather than his own constituents in North South Carolina.
Yeah,
I think we
disgusting pig, honestly. It's just crazy to see this all happen. You know, you really reap what you sow. But hey.
Cam 2 times says 2 teens after alleged planning to kill as many Jays as possible. Oh, that's crazy. Sinclair says this nigga just Aikido a senator's death into why America should support Israel. That's talent right there. In that last interview, Lindsey looks like an Emperor Palpatine when the mask came off. And then One Chest says the OSS 90-day fat loss competition. Yeah, guys, go ahead, get in. It's $50 to jump in. So don't be a fat loser. Jump in. We got big prizes. It's going to cost me a lot of money, but it's okay. I got you guys. We want to get you guys in shape. And then One Chest says, friendly reminder, there's no excuse to have fat belly. Predictable fat loss here. Results here, OSS Custom Fitness Coaching. So yeah, guys, get with One Chest on that. I'll drop the link for you guys here. Okay, we'll keep playing this.
Take on the responsibilities that he had from a global perspective.
Yeah, if you
go ahead.
Very fast. Chaka, thank you for the 10. I read that already. Another 5 WOSS 300. Yes, very true. KB Moss says, you know what it is, dropping off the Nepo tax, big dog, motherfucker. W Brother Stream. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that, man. Field Core says, dude, they censored the G word on Super Chats. What G word? Be careful, man. Don't get in trouble. Hayasake Abe says, Mitch McConnell used the Captain Ginyu buddies. All right, guys. Come on. We got to grow up. Okay. Thank you for the 5. Thanks for that. Just Skate says the Israel propaganda in full effect. It's kind of crazy the amount of posts I see now and the people agreeing it's crazy. Feels like they are winning. Yeah, well, they're mobilizing. And Charlie Kirk sent that letter back in, I think, May. He told Benjamin Netanyahu, you got to fight the media front, the 8th front. And that's what they've been doing. You know, they've been acquiring a lot more media company and or representation, and we're starting to see it now online. So that is the result of them seeing, because after October 7th, it was completely lopsided. You know, TikTok was one way, all of the social media platforms were one way, and you know, there's been a counter signal to that. So they got to fight back because everybody in the world hates Israel. And if you think it's bad in the United States, Europe is pretty bad as well. So yeah, that's that. But I think we're all caught up. You can go ahead and play, bro.
If you enjoy having your sides hurt from laughing, that was Lindsey Graham to a T. He always had a joke. One of the most authentically funny people that you'll meet.
And while we have not heard from the president on camera today, he has been speaking out on phoners as well as his Truth Social post. The big headline, of course, though, is going to be this medical examiner's report, which shows it was an artery tear likely caused by years of cardiovascular disease, which killed the senator. Tommy.
Mark Meredith, thank you so much. All right, bringing it out for discussion. Joey, I was stunned this morning when I opened up social media and I saw that. At first, I thought this cannot be real because it was so sudden. But it's obvious that he was a close friend of the president, a close friend of a lot of his colleagues. And I even saw some folks on the Democrat side putting out some heartfelt messages. I think Senator Booker put one out that I thought was very kind and very decent of him. So I appreciate that. But this man, whether you agree with his policies or not, has certainly a legacy. And it's going to be a big loss for the Senate and for D.C. as a whole.
Yeah, I think I was just thinking about, how many senators are left from 2001 after 9/11 when we were voting to go to war, essentially. And, because, as much as we talk about things like term limits, I mean, you get that opportunity every election cycle. It's good to have people in there that remember the mistakes we made last time. And I don't know if Senator Graham fell into that the way I would want him to when it comes to like going to war, but he was there for all of it. And he remembers it. And it hardened his resolve against terrorists and against those that would do us harm. I mean, I think he's had the opportunity over his career to see if you don't act, then something bad will happen. And that was the premise in which he operated on. So I usually, oftentimes would use him as a placeholder for like the war hawks that I disagreed with. But I would use him because he was the one out of all of them that never flip-flopped. He never changed his tone, even when he was running for president or even when he was feuding with President Trump and then became a strong ally of President Trump. His belief that we needed to take the fight to the enemy and spend the money overseas instead of here was at least an opinion that resonated.
Anti-American neocon piece of shit. That's what he.
Yeah, that's very, very pro-war.
Resonated or at least held a place in the discussion, and I appreciated that about him, and that's why he was the one that I would pick on, because he was the strongest and the one that I felt to be most honest about that belief. With all that being said,
yeah, he was honest about his beliefs, but that doesn't mean it is right. You can make that argument that he's been the same for 20 years, but at the same time, that's not good, man. That's Bush era type policies, which makes sense because he came into power in 2003, literally right in the middle of the Iraq War.
He becomes the last, and one of the last, and now this becomes more apropos than it was yesterday. One of the last of a dying breed. This breed of statesmen in the Senate specifically, who could debate passionately on the floor on an issue and not carry hatred in his heart when he left the chamber against those people he disagreed with. And I hate that it seems like the last of a dying breed, but it seems like himself, Dick Durbin retiring, who used to go back and forth with John McCain but kept a friendship. There were some there who remembered the old way, which some of that may not have been bad. And I appreciate the fact that he held that and he brought it to the floor and didn't bring that hatred out on Fox News or out on to dinner in D.C. And I hope that we find more statesmen like that, maybe, whatever opinion or whatever political party, people that can sever political differences from an actual hatred because you believe something.
Joey brings up a great point that he has been incredibly consistent, and that has sometimes put him at odds with maybe some mega Republicans or America First, America Only Republicans, especially when it comes to the issue with.
Yeah, because that is the new, like I said before, he represents the John Boltons and the old, neoconservative thought think tanks where it was like, oh, we're just going to go ahead and, intervene and get involved in international affairs and try to disrupt their enemies and dismantle them via, interventionism. But clearly that doesn't work. And I think the Iraq War is the biggest example of that, where if anything, it creates more headaches, because now you got to do state building, you got to put in a proxy government. And what did that do? Well, it left us with what we have now in Iraq, which is like, what did they do? They aligned with, Iran, the enemy, right? Whereas like if you had just left Saddam Hussein in place, you already didn't like Iran. So it's like, you end up doing 2 to 3 times the work.
Yeah.
But we all know why we went in over there, even though Saddam Hussein technically actually benefited the United States. We went over there for the Israelis, man.
Russia and Ukraine, that certainly
because he was a huge threat for them.
Is a point of contention, of course, his support for Israel.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was about to shout a Roman nigga. I thought this was a Lindsey Graham fan. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, I misread that. Sorry, Tina. Never mind. Go ahead. But
how do you think that his legacy will be remembered in terms of policy?
He's a war hawk, right? But to Joey's point, he has always been a war hawk. He's always believed in American exceptionalism, especially when it comes to our military. And therefore, you want to solve a problem with places like Iran or other bad actors, then our military should be able to rule the day. What bothers me is that you see on social media these conspiracy theories that somehow, Lindsey Graham was poisoned, or Lindsey Graham went to Ukraine and something bad happened. I'm seeing this from those on the right. The bottom line is that heart disease kills 700,000 people in this country per year. It is easily the leading cause of death.
It is.
Okay. Yeah, he just confirmed it. Yeah.
It's wildly, because the food here is so bad and no one exercises. Everyone's fat,
Yeah.
For
it's very bad.
any buddy in this country. It claims a life once every 33 seconds. So no, there's no foul play here. Unfortunately, 71 years old. He's had a heart condition for a while, and that's what took Lindsey Graham's life. But he'll always be remembered as somebody who, to Joey's point, very consistent in his principles.
And it's what his father died of. And I've been seeing now where they said he's, struggled with his blood pressure since his 40s. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
More to be uncovered on that.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.
The Fox apologetics, the Fox glaze.
Yeah.
I love it.
Let's see here.
And notice how they can't even really give him his flowers. They're like, oh yeah, he was a war hawk and he was consistent. It's like, okay, do you have something like actually objectively good to say about him? You know what I mean?
Yeah. That guy, one guy said, I like him because he was consistent.
Yeah. Okay.
But so, yeah, Trump, U.S. told Iran the ceasefire is over, but talks continue. Bro, this nigga just fucking... it's crazy how he just lies to the American public and thinks like everybody is stupid. You know what I mean?
Frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's to show face. It's maybe to keep the markets down, in which it has gone down. But now it's been tit for tat for the last week. I mean, the last time I went live, or the last 2 lives I did, it was going over escalations in Iran, specifically the Strait of Hormuz. And that's what everything is really contingent upon, is that strait opening up. But Iran closed it. They said yesterday and the day before that they're going to close it, in which they likely did. And I think it's honestly been closed since they hit those ships in the Omani waterway. But it's just been frustrating. It's been frustrating. And as I've said many times before, maybe there's new people in here, so I'll always reiterate these same talking points. This is a war that may not end anytime soon. At least the greater part or the greater scheme of the war may not end anytime soon. Maybe the escalations and the strikes back and forth will pause and resume, but the greater conflict and, even it turning into a Cold War is going to last for years, at least until the next president comes in. If the next president ideally comes in and cleans it up, which he has a lot of work to do because Trump set us back so many years. And it's just the nature of forever wars in the Middle East. When you want to change a regime, they entrench themselves, they dig down, they stand 10 toes, and they refuse to be victim to the same regime change that, the United States has dealt across the entire Middle East, and Israel as well. Well, Israel really using the United States as a proxy for its own bidding in removing unfavorable leaders, but that's just not going to work in Iran. So, Trump doesn't want to listen to his own intelligence, and now we are in July. It's been several months now, over 200 or just over, 150 days at war, and we've achieved literally nothing that benefits the United States. Everything has been in benefit to Israel. The biggest benefit to Israel, quick yap here, biggest benefit to Israel is southern Lebanon. I mean, how many times in the last few years, I think since 2006, Israel has not had nearly that amount of presence, or at least the IDF has had, south of the Litani River and the Zahari River. And so, now they've gotten a considerable amount of land grab that they haven't been able to access in many years because they haven't had the real motivation and or excuse to go into southern Lebanon like they can now. And that's all, again, thanks to the Iran war. So he opened up that door that didn't seem so plausible for Israel because they were going back and forth with Hezbollah, but they didn't capture that much ground in 2023 and 2024. Ceasefire happened, and all they were able to do, which was remarkable for Israel's point, I'm not saying it was a positive, is they killed Hassan Nasrallah. And so for them, that was a big dub, but they still couldn't get all of that land and actually take control and then fight Hezbollah head-to-head on their own grounds. Now they're blowing up these tunnels and these networks that Hezbollah is using, these strongholds, and it's just all thanks to Donald Trump. It's all thanks to this war enabling them and putting this battery in their back. So as the days grow, it just becomes, or as the time goes on, it just becomes more demoralizing, man. It looks like there's less and less off-ramps off of this war. It was plausible that we could have ended it maybe 3 months ago, but now it's really looking unlikely. It's really looking unlikely. And that's because Iran is bold, like Ukraine, so.
Yeah, no, and for them, it's even worse than what's going on for Ukraine. They're in more danger than, Ukraine is for Russia, I would argue. So, yeah, it's not good. And then he attacked them while they were in the middle of their funeral. That doesn't help either.
Yeah, that was
President Trump was
worst move.
So bad.
It's like I said earlier.
With this assassination shit, even though that probably is an Israeli op too.
Yeah, it's all bullshit. I didn't believe any of that. And Trump playing into it, it's all bullshit. And look, what we're dealing with now, like I said earlier, is a far more dangerous, capable Iran that's emboldened. And they know it's no longer brinksmanship. It's no longer rhetoric. It's no longer Bibi saying, well, they scream death to America. It's not that anymore. Now it strikes on the coastline. Now it strikes in Tehran. Now it's them trying to assassinate their leaders. Like, now Iran literally understands they are facing an existential threat, and that threat has mobilized against them and try to take everything they're using and leveraging against the United States. That's why we have that's why we have naval presence in the Strait of Hormuz, because we want to take away their control. So we're trying to take away their points of leverage, but it's just not going to work. So they say I'm an IRGC spokesperson, but really I'm trying to help.
Someone said that? Yeah, bro.
No, that's just the shit I see on X. The shit I see in the chat every once in a while. Like, you support Iran. We've been hearing that since day one, since February 28th. My brother and I, way before that, we said, bad idea. You're not going to beat Iran. Fortified by mountains, 90 million people, 250,000 armed guards on the ground, missile arsenal like nothing else in the Middle East. They might be very close to a nuclear weapon if they haven't attained one already. And then on top of that, they got a proxy network that can mobilize and close up other waterways that are vital for 12% of the world's oil supply. Let's not strike Iran. You support Iran. You're an IRGC spokesperson. Fuck you. You're a fucking idiot. Stupid.
Because everything we said that would happen has basically happened, bro.
It's all happened. It's all happened. It's complete vindication. And by the way, vindication we're not proud of, because we'd rather this war not happen. But it is what it is. Can't argue with dumbasses.
Now, this has all the makings of a forever war. Hey, guys, do me a favor. Smash the like button. I'm looking at my brother's thing. He's got over 500 ninjas over there. That should be 500 likes. I see 174. So smash the like button on his, and then smash the like button on mine. We're staying on fucking bitch-ass YouTube for you guys a little bit longer. So, Ryad, I got you until what, like 12-ish? I know you got work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, yeah, we'll cover Iran and stuff like that, and then I'll cover the other stuff with Tyler Robinson after.
Asked by the New York Post today about reporting that Iran had recently devised a new plot to assassinate him, according to Israeli intelligence. He said, and I quote, "I've been on their list for a long time. That's what we're dealing with." He went on to say, "The only thing is I've left instructions, if anything happens, to just literally bomb them at levels that they've never seen before." Now, we're learning more about that alleged assassination plot. According to an Israeli source, it involved this man, the new commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, who was part of a group advocating for such a plan. Israeli intelligence told the Trump administration it reflected a desire.
Oh, Israeli intelligence? No way! Israeli intelligence gave this info?
Yeah.
No way.
Super credible. Man. The same people that told us to bomb Iran and it would happen in 3 days, it'd be all over?
Yeah.
Okay.
96 hours and we'd be out. Those same guys, right?
Yeah.
So,
So what? How did this go? Maybe Bibi took him on the shoulder and said, "Mr. President, listen, that I've gotten word through the grapevine the Iranians are trying to kill you. I think maybe we need to use our nukes sooner than you think, Mr. President. I don't know." You know what, Bibi? Maybe you're right. Maybe we need to bomb the hell out of Iran. Yeah, that's probably how that went.
That was probably the conversation.
Likely the conversation. People think like, it's these high-ranking politicians sitting at a table of a bunch of important military officials, having this very intricate conversation, high IQ. No, it's probably just Bibi sitting down and going, I think the Iranians want to kill you. You know what, Bibi? Maybe that's right. Fucking two dumbasses. Shit's not complicated at all, dude. Look at this news article. Iran conspiring to kill Trump. Oh, like how convenient of a time. Look at that narrative. Fuck off.
Yeah, man. They've been saying this forever.
Among elements of Tehran's hardline leadership to target President Trump rather than a specific detailed plan to carry out such an operation. That's according to the Israeli source and a U.S. official.
In his first message since the funeral of his father and predecessor, Iran's supreme leader vowed revenge in a written statement attributed to him on state media. And meanwhile, President Trump posted late Friday evening that missiles are locked and loaded, ready to strike Iran should Tehran try to kill him. Trump said Iran has wanted him dead for years, adding that if anything were to happen to him, the United States should literally bomb them at levels they've never seen before. Joining me now is senior military analyst for CNN and former Supreme Allied Commander of NATO, Admiral James Stavridis. Admiral, great to see you as always. Would Iran really risk the fury that would follow if they attempted to assassinate President Trump?
The question is, who is Iran? I think we are in a modality at the moment, at least, where there are clearly 2 or 3 different claques at the top of that government. That's why we get frequently very mixed messages, and we get a lot of very harsh rhetoric alongside kinetic action striking ships in the Gulf. On the other hand, the foreign minister shows up for talks. So which Iran is the question. I'd also point out,
I think at this point they're just biding time, just like, restocking their well, they did restock their arsenal, now they're using it now. That's what it was all about, man. They knew the whole time that they wouldn't be able to trust the United States. And they're prepared for a long conflict, man. They are.
Very
and I don't
long.
think Trump understands that this is going to bleed into the midterms and fuck him up. We're already in July, dude. We're literally already in July.
People are
So
not
it's like-
paying attention, man. The calendar is moving real quick.
It is. It's literally about to be fall in a month, dude. Pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So, and guys, smash that like button on YouTube. I don't even see. We need to get 1,000 likes. We don't get 1,000 likes, I'm going to get the hell off this goddamn thing.
the old saw is all politics are local. You know what? Politics are personal also. And so the current supreme leader, we just need to bear in mind, at the start of this conflict, we killed his mother, his father, his wife. I think one of his children was that.
Yeah, his little daughter.
That sad, tiny little coffin at the ceremony's burial. So I think he quite understands.
I like that he's calling it straight because no one else says this.
This is the
that,
truth. These are the things that we have to take into consideration.
Fox News never admits this, that like bro killed the entire family. Like, we have a more reasonable regime in place. Okay, buddy.
Understandably, has taken that very, very personally. So I think there's going to continue to be a lot of defiance. Final thought.
Yeah, and they swore revenge against Trump the other day. I think Mustafa, like 2 days ago, said that they swore revenge because they attacked them during the funeral.
In an official statement out of Iranian media, Mustafa Khamenei, he did say he is going to exact revenge in the United States for that and their involvement in the Strait of Hormuz. Because we're trying to reopen. We're trying to get in there and like manually reopen the Strait, and it's pissing the IRGC off. That's the other development from the other day. And so, we're kind of pushing them in every single direction that it's just going to be unfavorable to Trump if he wants to end this war soon. It's very unlikely. Very unlikely.
Yep, absolutely.
To everything I just said, I hope not. I hope the Iranians will come to the table. You and I have talked before about the greatest book of leadership ever written, which of course is The Godfather by Mario Puzo. And in it, at one point,
let me
the Don
just add
says,
this really quick. This is the frustrating line of rhetoric I hear from the base in the United States as well. Oh, if only Iran just comes to the table. Trump says we're waiting for Iran to come to the table. And so let's suppose, okay, let Iran come to the table. What's going to happen? We're going to broker some deal where we lose. We give them tons of money like we just previously did, or we were about to, with the whole oil license and the sanctions and them making money, reparations, everything in between. And Israel knows that's a step closer to peace. And so what's Israel going to do? Something. Who knows what it is? Israel will do something and sabotage that peace deal. This has happened, I think, at this point 3 times now, where the United States has brokered some sort of temporary ceasefire, and immediately Israel ramped up its aggression, primarily as we've seen now in southern Lebanon due to the existent Iranian proxy being Hezbollah. And so for Iran, it just doesn't make sense to do diplomacy with this administration until they can get a guarantee that we will control Israel. That's what Iran needs to see if they want to deal with a more honest United States. Because I don't really think it's us that's undermining it. I think Trump would like this war to be over. I think J.D. Vance and the rest of everybody in the United States would love for this war to actually end. And we've noticed how bad it's been for us economically. We're bleeding. And so,
bad for Trump politically. He's had some of the lowest ratings.
Petroleum reserves are running low. Inflation is getting high. Everything looks bad. And you would think diplomacy is just the only step we need, the only thing in the way to actually relieve all of these issues. But there's no way that happens until Iran gets a guarantee that we can tell Israel to stop. And they can pull the IDF out of southern Lebanon, especially the Belfort Castle, and anywhere close to that area. So it's just so easy. And it's omitted by all mainstream media news outlets. But that's what's necessary to stop this war. I just thought I would add that because it's increasingly obvious, but it's never mentioned.
Yeah, no, for sure. And guys, smash that like button on YouTube. I'm going to end YouTube stream here soon because you guys are not late hitting the like button. So,
mistake of hating your enemies. It clouds your judgment. Unfortunately, in segments of the top of the Iranian pyramid today, there's a lot of hate for the United States.
I think he said it to Sonny.
Bro, it's like, okay, we attacked them twice while in the middle of negotiations. We attacked them during their funeral procession for the supreme leader that we killed when we were supposed to be in the middle of negotiations. We've been lying about doing a deal forever, right? Attacking them. Like, of course they're going to be pissed off. And then we attacked them during their funeral procession when we said we wouldn't. You know what I mean? It's like, come on, dude. Like, they're like, this is horrible foreign policy. It's horrible foreign policy. This is why they hate us. It's like, we got to take a little bit of responsibility and accountability that it's very poor foreign policy as to why we're in the situation that we're in. And, you know, I think the political off-ramp at this point, every time we get off it, we blow it up ourselves.
100%.
Some dumb shit.
And it's because we keep lying and saying, oh, we're concerned about maritime safety. We have to get the IRGC out of the Strait. No, it's about strategic leverage. And we don't want Iran to have that strategic leverage. So we overbear and we put ourselves in these compromising situations where Iran actually has a reason to strike one of these ships or strike us. And then we go, oh, how dare you hit us? We're going to strike you back. Why are we in the Strait? You want maritime safety? Get the fuck out of the Strait and do diplomacy. Tell Israel to cut the bullshit. But of course, that's a route that I'm going to say America, Israel, same shit, is not willing to take. The American base is not willing to take. And like I said earlier, I mean, think about being an Iranian delegation. You know, you step to the table with the United States. The moment you broker any sort of deal and all the narratives start dropping and the headlines are public, Iran and the United States sign a deal, you almost know as a result, subsequent, like right after, Israel's going to do something. So for Iran, maybe in some sense, they're afraid to sign a deal with the United States. They're afraid to broker front-facing peace, at least for the media to see, for everybody to see, because that guarantees Israel is going to have to do something to keep the war hot, to keep it alive, to keep it aggressive. And so that could be another reason as to why they're not willing to actually step to the table, which they told the United States 2 weeks ago when we were trying to talk to them in Qatar. And Trump sent his delegation anyways, and Iran said, we're not talking to you, we'll talk to Qatar. Qatar can be the mediator, but we're not going to talk to you. And that's because they know it's a guarantee for Israeli aggression. So it all does, I hate to use the same talking points, but I'm demonstrating the larger point. It all really does start with Israel. We've got to reprimand, we've got to stop their aggression. Otherwise, there's no chance this war is over. And we've got to stop acting like we control the Strait. We don't. It's as simple as that. Yeah. It's way easier for Iran. It's their local waters. It's way easier for them to disrupt that Strait and just hurl a couple threats of drones and missiles flying over these vessels' heads than it is for us to send our Navy there and actively reopen it. That's way harder. And that's going to guarantee an even longer-winded conflict. So it's the right answer is right in front of us. You know, it's just whether we want to exercise it or not.
Yeah, no, and it's ridiculous that people actually buy Trump's stupidity when he says, "Oh, we can open up the Strait, we control the Strait." No, you don't, dude. And and I'm starting to think here, like that entire MOU might have been just well, Vance kind of admitted it, like it was a ploy to try to get the markets recovered and everything, which they did. I don't know what a barrel of Brent is sitting at right now. I'll take a look at it, but it's going to go back up. It's definitely going to go back up though. Because people forget that we still have, sitting at 78. So yeah, we're in a very bad position. $78, guys, just so you know, is not good. Anything over 80 is bad. And then we can easily go back right into the 80s and 90s again, or into the triple digits. And, you know, obviously that's when you start creating problems. And then keep in mind, guys, the reserves that we have, different economists are giving different dates, but pretty much the longest I've seen any of these, energy experts / economists, they've all said pretty much by fall where their strategic reserves are done. By fall. Some said end of July, some said end of August, but pretty much the going thing is by fall, everyone is like, yeah, we're pretty much done with the strategic reserves. So, and then also, they took the sanctions off the Iranian oil. Sorry, they placed the sanctions back on the Iranian oil.
Yes. Yeah, as a result of those strikes. And here's the thing, too. Iran has not even exercised all their weapons. You know, they still can disrupt the Red Sea, and that's something I'm very fearful of as well. I hope that doesn't happen, but it's completely plausible, and the proxy network in Yemen has been sitting still waiting for command. So that's another possibility as well, as the Red Sea can be interrupted, and that's even more oil for the world to suffer short of.
Yep, absolutely. Smash the like button, ninjas.
Santino.
Let's get to 1,000 likes. We're sitting at 531. Get 1,000. Let's go.
But I might be mistaken.
I'm bringing in New York Times White House correspondent Maggie Haberman. She's co-author of the new bestseller, Regime Change Inside the Imperial Presidency of Donald Trump. Maggie, thank you so much for being here. This seems like a good week to have this conversation between the inflection point ending the ceasefire, and then this moment of this reporting we're getting now of a potential assassination attempt, information shared by Israel. This is a president who has survived assassination attempts. Does this kind of concern loom large for him?
Well, there's no question that among the reasons that the president and his team were really radicalized in the interregnum period before he came back to office, and we write about this in the book, were the assassination attempts that he faced. In particular, Butler happened around the time that someone had been charged with being part of a murder for hire plot involving or set up by.
I remember that. It was a case out of New York, if I'm not mistaken.
Iranian
FBI New York.
officials, allegedly.
Yeah.
And in his mind and in the campaign's mind at the time, it all became one thing. And so there's no question that the fact that this new information about a potential plot is going to loom large for this team. It is going to raise new concerns. You are already seeing a president who does not travel outside the White House that much. Part of it is that, he would tell aides at the beginning of the term, I'm done campaigning.
Yeah, his Secret Service, bro, is probably stretched to the brim in stress, dude. It's like the Secret Service for Trump probably, oh man, because they gotta maintain people at Mar-a-Lago and they gotta keep people at the White House at all times. You know what I mean?
His family members, Kai Trump, like everybody, it's
they're
stretched very
she's trying to be a
thin with him.
fucking YouTuber, right? Isn't she trying to be a YouTuber?
She's not making it easy. She's all over the place. She's not making it easy.
That's a fucking nightmare. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine, protecting not just him, but like his immediate family, obviously both of his sons who like to travel a lot and, they got business affairs. Like, oh, dude, they probably pushed the Secret Service to their fucking brim, dude. Yeah. Guaranteed.
Which is why they probably had lapses recently, with the whole White House correspondence and everything like that. They're not sharp right now. It seems like there's been some gaps here and there. And it's just because Trump is, a media guy, very big in the limelight, wants to always be at the next big spot, wants to always be where the lights are, and that makes it increasingly harder to defend him or protect his safety.
Yeah, and Secret Service, I've told you this before, like they have the hardest, they have huge attrition rates. People always leave. It has the highest divorce rates. You can make a lot of money doing it because you get overtime. They're one of the few 1811s that get overtime a lot. But it's blood work, bro, and it's boring. You don't do investigations like that. Most Secret Service agents end up doing protection details only, and it's very, very, it's not really rewarding work. Like you're not doing criminal investigations like that. You're just doing protection details. And unless you're in the president's inner team, you're doing a lot of BS, bro. And it could be like a lot of them are probably walking around covering Kai when she does YouTube videos, bro. That's fucking miserable. So
is she really doing YouTube?
I think she has a YouTube channel. Yeah, I think she does YouTube. If I'm not mistaken.
TikTok and stuff. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, or she does social media. I don't know if it's like YouTube's her main platform. She's a chick, so girls never really do YouTube. But it's mostly probably like TikTok dumb shit. Okay. So I don't know if somebody here can probably confirm. But yeah, dude, that's kind of what it is. Guys, I'm gonna get off YouTube, but come on over to Kick or go to my brother's YouTube, either or, whatever you guys want. But I'm ending my YouTube right now. I'll drop the link here for you ninjas, as you guys know, and I'll drop my brother's YouTube as well, whichever one you guys want. If you want to show some love, you get both of them. That would be very helpful. Here's my Kick or my brother's YouTube. Hold on. Boom. Or I'll put the link for his video. And make sure you guys subscribe to his YouTube channel. Ryad's Report, okay, is
threats of further
the YouTube channel. And then mine is Myron Gaines X, or it's kick.com/Myron Gaines X. It's so weird that Kick doesn't give you like a hyper, like it's just like when you're live, it doesn't generate like the video hyperlink until after the fact, which is kind of weird. But yeah, I put both links. Oh shit, wait, wrong chat. What the fuck? My bad. Sorry, I was putting that shit in yours. Let me put it in whichever one you guys want. All right. I'm dropping my YouTube stream right now, guys. So come on over. YouTube stream coming down. Go either to my brother or my Kick, either or. Or open up both if you guys are real ninjas. All right, I'm ending X as well. Fuck Twitter. X and YouTube both going down now. X going down. Hold on. Wait, did I put open? See, every time I do the switch, bro, I have to like, yeah, I didn't even have the thing open. Dude, that's the only thing that sucks about multi-streaming. You got to keep up with like where you're at and stuff like that. Yeah, like that's one of the only negatives. There you go.
Running a stream off of one platform is more than enough stress.
Yeah. So, all right, YouTube going down now. Ninjas, go to my X going down now. So come on over, MyronGainsX.com or kick.com/MyronGainsX, or go to my brother's channel, Ryad's Report. I dropped up both links for you guys in the chat. So YouTube, X is going down now, and then YouTube going down now. All right, cool. All right, let's get back to it.
Campaigning, but part of it is legitimate security concerns.
And out front now, Fareed Zakaria, host of Fareed Zakaria GPS. So, Fareed, there's a lot of things I want to ask you about here after Pamela's reporting, but hardline Iranian officials, including the head of the IRGC, we understand from the reporting, have been pushing to assassinate Trump after the U.S. and Israel, of course, assassinated the supreme leader and many Iranian leaders to kick off this war. But now the U.S. is evaluating whether they'll target those officials, right? So this back and forth. Where do you see this going?
That is a very good question, Aaron. It's difficult to tell because at the end of the day, to be honest, the United States does not have a strategy. It is, it has lots of...
Say they don't have a strategy is an understatement. That is an understatement saying they don't have a strategy, bro. They're literally winging it, dude. After they had a strategy for 96 hours.
Mr. Trump, we need orders in the Strait of Hormuz. What do? Bomb the Strait. Bomb every ship in this. Bomb the Strait.
Yeah.
Yeah. Saying we don't have a strategy is definitely an understatement.
Yeah, that's
definitely
like
an understatement. There is no organization right now from the United States in terms of this war. There's zero. And that's just because we don't know where we're going. We're fighting for no reason. We're not fighting for ourselves. It's completely senseless. So that's the nature of those kinds of things.
It's absolutely incredible, dude.
Power. It can keep punishing Iran in various ways, but to what end? What is it trying to achieve? And I think until it can figure that out, what is the end state that it wants, and how much is it willing to, to devote military power to that? I think we have a problem right now. Really, what this is a conflict over whether Iran has some degree of special control over the Strait of Hormuz. Because if you notice, what's been happening is the U.S. has been essentially telling ships, go anywhere you want, any route you want through the Strait of Hormuz. Iran says no.
Rubio Clippers, thanks for the gifted sub. Yeah, guys, if you want to subscribe to the channel on your own, you do it on desktop. But if you want to give the sub, you can do it right on the computer. Shout out to all you guys that are watching. We got almost 4,000 you guys in here. Actually, right around 4,000 you guys watching at midnight. So shout out to you guys. Trying to give you guys the best news. Try to be unbiased here. Try to keep it real with y'all. Abraham 101, I appreciate you. As you guys know, I know a lot of you guys say you can't watch the news anymore without us giving you guys some commentary. But yeah, I mean, we try to do it all. We try to watch CNN. We try to watch Fox. We try to watch Al Jazeera. We try to watch all three of them for you guys so you guys can kind of get a balance. NBC News, we watched NBC earlier. So watch all for you ninjas.
Is open passage.
And then debunk the bullshit.
But you have to coordinate it with us. In other words, we are the gatekeepers. Yep. And that, I think, is...
And I don't know why the United States doesn't understand that. They think they could go through Oman because Oman has half the strait. Well, guess what? Oman's are bitch-ass niggas that don't have a real military and they can't do anything. So Iran was just trying to be nice. Iran was just trying to be nice saying they'd split it with them, but they don't have to do that, as they proved.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, and this is what I was saying earlier, so I'm literally being vindicated. I didn't even know this guy, Fareed Zakaria, was going to say this, but this is the truth. The United States wants to impose control over a waterway that they just can't control. And every single time they try to test the limits, Iran makes them pay. And he makes us pay by closing the strait, hitting more oil vessels. And by the way, when we get involved and we tell these ships, secretly whispering in their ear, hey, don't worry, you can come through this Omani waterway. And then every single other ship that's waiting behind them sees them get bombed, that backs up the strait more. And that makes your plan work against you. So this is all for nothing. And like I've said, the Strait of Hormuz is not the first step, but actually one of the last steps that we're going to have to go over if we want this to all end. It's not going to be one of the first steps because it's their greatest weapon against us. They're going to fight tooth and nail before they give that up, because if they give up the strait, effectively they don't have any weapons left against the United States except missiles. And that's not going to be enough for a long-term conflict, but choking 1/5 of the world's oil supply, that'll do a lot of damage for a good deal of time.
And let me tell you guys how easy it is for them to shut down the Strait, because Trump and them are grossly underestimating, and they're not telling you guys the truth. This is basically what happens. Ship goes through, Iran sees it goes through, they shoot a drone goes towards the ship, it gets close to the ship and or hits the ship says, holy crap, what the fuck? And then what ends up happening is the insurance companies, like I think Lloyd's of London is a big one for these freighter ships, they say, oh, well, we're not going to insure you guys anymore. When they say that we're not going to give you guys insurance anymore, the ships don't go through, because they realize that without insurance, that's a big problem to sail through. And even though the United States has tried to have these ships go and hug, the UAE coastline or hug the Omani coastline, it still doesn't work. So yeah, it is what it is, dude. Like,
Oman is like a nobody country, like you said. Oman is, dude. A lot of people don't even know where Oman is. Oman, the fuck is Oman? So yeah, they're not gonna guarantee any safety to any ship.
Yeah, let me go ahead and pull it up on a map for you guys, because I know a lot of people are not like geographically aware. So let me show you guys how easy it is for Iran to do the shit that they're doing. So as you guys can see here, here's the entire globe. Here's the world, right? Okay. So we're going to go right into this nice area here in the Middle East, right? This is obviously, as you guys know at this point, you guys should know what the Strait of Hormuz is, right? If you guys have been watching me and my brother. This is the waterway that controls roughly 20% of the world's energy, okay? And then the Bab el-Mandeb Strait right here, this controls another like 12% or so. So, and the Houthis control this, which we could talk about that here in a second. But the thing you guys need to know is that for the past several months, the Trump administration has been trying to get this thing open so that ships can go through. And they haven't been able to go through at the same level. This is why you guys have been paying double at the pump the past couple of months. And as we speak, a barrel of Brent crude, I think, just hit $79. So, which is not good. Once you get 80 or above, that's when you start getting into the beginnings of like an energy crisis, which this conflict has created the worst energy crisis of all time. So what Trump's administration is doing is they're bombing the coastline, Bandar Abbas, all of these areas here, right? These are all ports. These are all areas where they assume drones and ballistic missiles are being shot out of. But what they don't understand is that Iran has a lot of these things underground. So even if you bomb them from above ground, it doesn't matter, because they can still shoot drones at these freighter ships that go through. And they don't have to land anything. All they got to do is like land maybe one or create the threat of landing one, and then they're going to stop. So what they were trying to do before was they were trying to get these ships to kind of like turn their transponders off and kind of hug the coastline of the UAE and then go towards Oman, which is right here. Here's Oman, right? And, kind of sneak through. And Iran was finding out about this, and they were hitting them hard, like with these drones. And as you guys can see here, this isn't much. This is what? At the widest, at the narrowest way, it's like 33. Yeah, 20 to 30 miles, right? So, guys, Iran can shoot these drones like very easily right into this waterway, pretty much unimpeded, and these ships get hit, because these ships are not military ships. They're like freighter ships with like no real ability to do anything to these drones. So,
very slow.
Yeah, very slow and everything. And keep in mind, guys, Iran was shooting ballistic missiles into fucking Israel, okay? So if they're able to shoot ballistic missiles and drones into Israel and get through, what do you think is going to happen to all these Gulf countries? They're sitting ducks, okay? Yeah. Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, like Saudi Arabia, all these countries are sitting ducks for the Iranians, bro.
And they all really want the war over, pretty much except the UAE. At least publicly, that's how they make it seem, right? Because the UAE is Israel's greatest ally in the Middle East, one of their greatest, if not their greatest. So you got that as well.
Yep. So really, man, there's not much you can, there's not much that these different countries can do when it comes to protecting the ships or even themselves. These countries can barely protect themselves, chat. Okay, let alone protect these ships that are going through. So
yeah, and the interceptor missiles that we offer to these countries to protect their airspace is running low, and we've been trying to replenish that, which is why J.D. Vance told the media the other day that this MOU, which by the way, very confused as to why he would say this. Maybe there's some 5D chess here. I'm not seeing it, but J.D. Vance pretty much admitted that the United States is holding off and exercising this MOU as long as we can so we can replenish ourselves and gather ourselves for maybe another phase of the war. He kind of vaguely hinted at that. But I mean, it's obvious now because now we're fully, back at war with them, striking them. And we're even hitting Western Iran now, as I'm reading on X currently. So it seems like strikes are going to resume to the level that they were looking like prior to April. I'm not positive about that, but if anybody's very far from diplomacy, it's Iran. It seems like we want it, but it's just not plausible when we keep interfering in the Strait. And that's what I've said. Like, Ukraine is getting bold now. They're hitting Russian oil infrastructure. Like, they see no red lines. They're shooting missiles deep into Russia, near Moscow. And so Ukraine has become emboldened more than they were recently. And it's like the same thing with Iran. Now Iran is just letting the missiles and the drones fly everywhere. And then, look, obviously in the beginning of the war, they hit 7 Middle Eastern countries right away after February 28th. But now they're not even hesitating to really attack any ships in the Strait, which they didn't do as aggressively in the beginning of the war as opposed to now. Now the drones are flying in the waters. So really there's no red lines for them. And every single time we step in and we try and open the Strait up or exercise Omani waterways, we're just antagonizing them. And they've got endless amounts of drones. They don't need their missiles for these ships. Just these cheap drones that they make in-house.
20,000.
Thousands, yeah.
Yeah, these drones cost about $10,000 to $20,000, man. They're cheap and they make them in-house. They're the Shahed drones that, Russia and the United States reverse engineered. Ryad, I'm gonna read a quick ad. If you want, you can mute yourself and read your chats while I do this real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. Let me do this real fast. Give me 1 sec. Quick word from sponsor Ninjas.
All right, chat. Let's see. Where are we? Should I get you guys a full screen? What's up? What's up, chat? Let's see. Can you guys hear Myron? I don't think you can. I saw a couple chats. I think I read them. Okay, Just Skate. I read that one already. We'll wait for Myron in a second. One just came in. Hold on, let me read this. Sorry, it's not in front of me. But yeah, guys, we're going to go into Iran a little bit more, and then maybe we'll go into the Tyler Robinson, Charlie Kirk situation. I'm not sure how much time I'll have or my brother will have because he's got a cut. But nevertheless, hope you're enjoying the stream. If you haven't liked the video already, please do, and subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate all the support and love. Yo, that's the name actually. Yo Q30 says, W Myron, W Low Bro, yo Myron, when will you bring Latos to Fresh and Fit? I'll ask him. This is a question for him, then I'll ask him once I get back on Discord with him. He's probably done with his sponsor now, so we love you, cutie. Okay, thanks. Is that a guy who just sent that? What's going on, man? Quick chat for you, Myron. Somebody asked you a question. They said, when will you bring Latos to a Fresh and Fit stream again? Red Pill Fitness dude. LLADOS. Okay. He doesn't remember, but thank you for the chat. If that person ever even came on. Anyways, you want to read some chats? I have none. It's up to you. Oh, Myron's muted. Sorry.
I'll be quick. Okay. Zyclone says, Darkness, love the brother, dual streams, no worries. Hey, Myron, hope you're doing well. Quick question. Do you know Tom Cruise? I recently spoke with him and he's open up. I don't know who that is. I have no idea who that is. Jared, update slowly coming in. Source maybe rotating back home, working on a new source to keep it going. He's saying IDF killed in action 4,043. Wounded in action, doesn't know. How many Hezbollah dead though, Jarheaded? How many? So he's saying the IDF killed in action is 4,000. That's crazy. Gab3G, just showing love. Hi IQ stream, appreciate you, my friend. RP Deluxe, just want to say thanks for pushing a ninja to achieve bigger goals. Finally quit my job after 3 years for a risky achievable upgrade. Okay, glad you took the risk and you're doing well. Glad for you to be back. Seems like forever since you're the only streamer I watch. Yeah, I took one day off and then you guys, I know you guys go crazy. And then last up, Ryad, hope you're getting paid for these damn ads and kick Stop Robin Myron. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but we're good, man. Don't worry about it. Cool. I don't know what happened with my viewership on Kick. It went up and then it went down. I don't know what the fuck happened, chat. Are we, okay, so we'll go back to, where were we? We're right. Oh, no, not here. Or this where we were.
The Trump administration handed them this weapon that they've realized is very powerful.
They really did hand them the weapon. And I would argue this is worse than a goddamn nuclear bomb, bro. You can make the argument that this is worse than Iran having a nuclear bomb.
Is the control of the Strait is what he's referring to? Control the, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what we've been saying.
And so even while they are
because let's be real, a nuclear bomb is never used. A nuclear bomb is really never used. This can be used at any time, whenever they please, you know? So they're like, they're holding us by our neck with the control of the Strait like that.
They literally can activate it whenever they want, dude.
Exactly.
Passage and for now free passage, they want to maintain that precedent that they get to control it. They get to direct you. They get to, quote unquote, give you the permission. so that maybe in the future they can close it.
Thanks for the gift, sub, Will.
They can charge for it. And the Trump administration is saying, no, anyone can go anywhere. So that's the core of the dispute right now.
Right. And the core of the dispute, of course, right now, Iran is calling the proverbial shots on that. So I got to ask you about something else, Fareed. This is really bizarre. Okay, so I don't know if anyone watching hasn't seen this, but there is widespread speculation inside Iran that what I'm about to show you is the supreme leader. Okay, the masked man in this image. He's in civilian clothes and he has a cap on, basically a baseball cap, which is in and of itself very odd when you look at who he's standing right. I mean, it's almost like AI generated. It's bizarre. You've got people dressed in traditional Iranian attire, and then you've got this guy with a baseball cap. So the speculation inside Iran is that man is the new supreme leader, Muqtada.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've heard that from a few people too.
He shaved his beard. I don't believe that at all. But I mean, what do you think?
The risk would be enormous for him to take.
I think that would be foolish. I think, look, not to glaze Iran, I think they're smarter than to have their new leader succeeding the one who was killed on the first day of the war at the funeral for the one who was killed on the first day of the war. That just doesn't make any sense. You know?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any. I like the conspiring though, but there's just no way.
Yeah, I mean that would be an enormous risk to take, bro. Especially with all the news that was going around with, obviously we know Mossad agents were on the ground there in Iran. We know that for a fact easily. That would be a crazy risk to take, putting your supreme leader out there in wartime, to do a prayer. Not worth it.
Khamenei. We have never seen him publicly since his father was killed and he was injured. And
they're saying Hezbollah killed in action 3993 as of right now, but the recent clash really got all its other structure running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Okay, well, we can pretty much say that 4,000 KIA confirmed pretty much for both sides. That's crazy. That's nuts.
That's full-blown war. That is full-blown war. And if you thought we were ever going to... Yeah, and if you thought it was going to de-escalate, there you go. Those are the numbers. 8,000 people dead in a conflict that's only been, 100 days now? 120, 150 days, whatever it is. So
now it makes sense why Israel will not pull back.
Yep.
That's a lot of casualties for a country that small.
They're too dug in. They're invested way too deep. And they've gained the most progress they ever had. Despite the casualties, they've gained a lot of progress that's positive for Ben Gvir. He's been happy about it. They've bombed a lot of places that they've been flirting with for many years now, talking about how they're Hezbollah strongholds. Yeah, no way. No way this is over anytime soon. Not to be negative, guys, but, we're just kind of giving you the scope of how everything is looking and what it's going to look like for the next few months. It's going to be very difficult for this war to end. I'd love to be wrong, but it's just going to be very tough for everything to cease hostilities. No way.
Israelis haven't made it this far in a long time, dude. Since like 06, like 20 years, dude. This is the most progress they've ever made.
First day of the war, he did not make a public appearance at his father's funeral this week, which was over many days, right? So we haven't seen him at all, Fareed. But there's all this speculation about this guy. What do you think about this?
My own view is that's not him. I'll tell you first why. The Iranian clerical establishment is very conservative. The idea that they would have the supreme leader in a baseball cap strikes me as just, it doesn't read right. Secondly, to the extent that I've seen photographs of his, and that's all I've seen, he's stockier than that character there. That guy looks younger. I think it is possible that the supreme leader is very badly injured. That's why he's not showing up. It's possible, it's even.
Yeah, people are saying that he's hurt very badly. Some people said that he had to even get amputated. So we don't know though, but we don't know.
That's what was flowing around early on.
He's really injured. So
possible that he's fatally wounded. I think all those things are possible, and that really Iran has become a military dictatorship. One of the many unintended,
pretty much, yeah. The RGC running the show.
Consequences of this ill-conceived war is that the Iranian regime, which was a kind of mixed regime, where you had the clerical establishment had power and the military had power and the elected president even had a little bit of power. Now it seems like it's the military calling the shots on everything. So it seems it's possible the guy is dead, and that.
Someone said, Marinier, yeah, dude, the reason why my camera is reversed is because this is what Discord does, bro. I don't know what to tell you. Discord always, you should know, you guys know this by now. Discord always reverses the mirror image, and I don't think you can fix it.
they're covering it up. But the idea that some dude in a baseball cap and a mask who looks pretty young is actually the supreme leader.
Who was speculating?
Stranger
that?
things have happened, but
what was the original source for that speculation?
It was all over Twitter. It was all over Twitter. They were saying that it was him.
Of course it was.
Put money on.
And then they're saying, well, like how forward he was, in like which I could understand why theorists would think this. Like, look how ahead he is in the prayer line. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
compared to all
all the way in the front. Yeah.
So I could see why they'd say that, but yeah, I mean that's a crazy risk to take, bro.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Really, Iran has become a military dictatorship. One of the mask who looks pretty young is actually the supreme leader. Look, stranger things have.
Hey guys, do me a favor, smash the like button on my brother's video. By the way, I'm looking right now. You guys there's about 700 of you guys in here. So make sure to smash the like button on it. Let's get them to 700 likes.
Happen, but if I had to put money on the markets, I would bet against it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Stranger things have happened, but and then you're thinking, well, gosh, the fact that there's even the speculation that we're finding out about in Iran, and then what is anybody doing in a baseball cap? To your point, surrounded by those clerics. All right, Fareed, thank you so much. It is wonderful to see you, and I thank you.
Okay. What's this? Iran strikes. Trump says, "Oh, interesting."
It's over. That's how President Trump is describing the 60-day agreement that he had signed with Iran.
These CNN debates are always funny.
21 days ago.
It was predictable in two ways. There's a lot.
Mr. Drippy, thank you for the 5.
Long-term animosity by the Islamic Republic against the United States. This is part of the DNA of this regime. That is to say,
these retards are online. The Enforcer, the pro-war morons.
Oh, they gotta feel dumb at this point. What are they saying now? Guys, so don't worry, it's July, but we're totally winning. It's pretty much the end of the summer, but we've done so much damage, and Iran has no control over the Strait.
Yeah, hold on, let me. Yeah, niggas are stupid as fuck, bro. Their war coverage was so fucking garbage, and I remember them and like Max Afterburner were all on board for this dumbass conflict. Yeah, it just shocks me because there's like 20,000 people watching this bullshit. Like these dudes are retarded, two retarded brothers that are stupid as fuck.
I've always said for the longest time, if you're on the wrong side of this war, you'll get nothing right. Like you'll get nothing
right. And I think
right.
they're pro-Ukraine too. I think these idiots are also pro-Ukraine. Bro, these niggas are Lindsey Graham basically. Like I think these guys are pro-Ukraine as well. So yeah, like here, let me see here what these niggas are yapping about.
Up and just starts flinging.
And they never show their faces.
Him around in a clockwise motion instantly. This instructor.
Man, there is zero. There is like, oh my God, that is crazy how close that was to that guy. It's wild too. There is like zero resistance on the swivel mount. Like the swivel mount's like greased up with WD-40. That thing's swiveling around with zero resistance.
So then our hand.
Yeah, and you could tell from the way that these guys speak with all the these niggas are mouth breathers, 100%. They sound all nasally or whatever. These guys are 1,000% mouth breathers, dude.
Hamster up here on the hamster wheel, who's holding on to the yak bee. He goes flying around. He goes flying off. The gun's still firing, by the way. The whole time he's flying off of the truck, it's firing over. Conflict started in 2014. Simultaneously.
Oh yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, by the way. Do you want to do it now or do you want to do it another day? We're supposed to give these niggas a whole primer on Russia, by the way. Because this war did start in 2014. It didn't start in no fucking 2022 like you guys think.
So I did on stream the other day, but I covered everything from 2014 up until now. I did pretty extensive coverage of it. We could do it again. But if any of you guys want to go back to that video, do it again because they probably
a lot of people in here probably didn't see it. So go ahead and do it again. I'll give you the you want to share your screen?
No, I mean I can talk about it here. You can go off of what they're saying. We can talk about the Crimea situation in 2014. So essentially right now everything is escalating between Ukraine and Russia. And that's as a result of Ukraine being pretty aggressive in attacking Russian oil infrastructure and the reserves and everything like that. And now Russia has actually entered a fuel crisis. So they're seeing these mile-long lines at gas stations and everything like that. Of course, U.S. media has jumped all over that, favorable to the Ukrainian side. But the situation started in 2014, and that was due to the overthrowing of a pro-Russian regime. I think Yanukovych was his name, the Ukrainian leader in Crimea at that time. You can go ahead and pull it up. And then we can go over the Euromaidan protests as well. That was fueled by the West, of course. Very classic Western intervention style revolution. So yeah, essentially, NATO has a very aggressive mission in expanding eastwards to counter any sort of Russian influence within eastern Ukraine. And of course, Ukraine was, or Eastern Europe, and Ukraine was the last red line. Now, in 2014, all that Russia had left standing for their own representation, aside from Belarus and other Eastern European countries like Lithuania, Latvia, and Estonia, was, of course, Ukraine. And Putin has said historically in 2008 in a very famous speech and other times that if anything is to happen with NATO inside of Ukraine, it would guarantee a Russian invasion, Russian intervention, whatever it is, which is what prompted the invasion in 2022. However, this actually started earlier in 2014, and that's because there was a leader in Ukraine that was backed by Russia that was overthrown by the Euromaidan protests, seeking this more humane leadership that was more in favor of the EU and Western intervention and NATO. And of course, this guy who had Russian money in his pockets, of course, he was aligned with Putin, rejected any sort of EU intervention, which is the European Union, any sort of NATO intervention. And as a result, the populace and really the U.S. pulling their strings like we always do, getting involved, had overthrown that leader. And that's him right there. Go back, Viktor Yanukovych, I believe his name is.
Yanukovych, yeah. This was a guy who was a lot more pro-Russian.
Pro-Russian. And so once he was overthrown, which everybody saw coming, of course, Putin especially, immediately they went in and annexed Crimea within, I believe, a couple days, if my memory serves me correctly. And then after they annexed Crimea, they took control of the Black Sea being the warm water port all year round. That's very advantageous for the Russian economy. And another thing that a lot of people don't talk about as well, it wasn't just that actual regime that was backed by Russia, but Ukraine actually had a lot of strategic natural gas reserves within the Black Sea and inland in the eastern province near Donetsk, and then in the western province, I can't remember the name, but they had a lot of shale gas reserves that they were going to try and access. The reason why this was such a big threat to Russia, aside from the fact that now a Western regime was going to be planted, aka more NATO influence, getting closer to the Russian border, was because Russia is and still is the #1 supplier of natural gas in Europe, funding Germany and other countries that they make tons of money off of. And as a result, Germany actually has one of the strongest economies in Europe. Ukraine was about to threaten that because Exxon and Mobil and Mobil and Shell were investing in Ukraine and actually building infrastructure to extract all of this oil. And so that was going to be very beneficial for the Ukrainian economy, for the Ukrainian military. And again, that's another threat pointed at Russia because they're the #1 gas supplier. And now you have some sort of vague Western intervention, all of these big oil conglomerates coming in and creating this infrastructure that Ukraine did not have the ability to create to extract all of these resources and or natural gas. And so that was one of the reasons that they were motivated to actually go ahead and invade. But the final straw, of course, was that.
And the biological weapons too. That Tulsi Gabbard confirmed. Remember that?
Yes.
If you talked about the biological weapons in Ukraine, you'd be considered a conspiracy theorist. But Tulsi Gabbard confirmed it before she left. She declassified it that they did in fact have biological weapons in Ukraine, which was a big thing that Russia invaded for. And everyone said, "Oh, that's a lie. Putin's lying. It's it's a conspiracy theory." But it was true.
So that's 3 reasons right there. 3 big reasons. The threat of oil supply and Russia losing that #1 spot for producing oil, which was a way Ukraine was vaguely trying to undermine Russia's #1 spot as the resource supplier in Europe. And then also the fact that this new regime was going to guarantee the European Union and NATO would have their tentacles stretched across all of Ukraine, which was, again, another threat to Russian sovereignty. Because if you guys don't know, this goes all the way back to the Cold War. The Soviet Union fell in '91, and as a result, a lot of what was comprised of the Soviet Union, much of Eastern Europe, had fell from the West. And so Russia lost half of their population. And so since 1991 till today, Russia has been fighting this uphill battle to maintain influence and some sort of, guarantee of their existential safety and or existence to counteract that Western influence. And if you, okay, go ahead. Yeah, Victoria Nuland, you can talk about this.
Yeah, I had to put her. No, she was one of the biggest Russia hawks ever.
Yes.
Huge pusher to, to go to war. Also, Biden, guys, is very pro-Ukraine as well. Biden and his son had Burisma, and they had business stakes in Ukraine. That's why, they gave Ukraine so much aid. during the Biden administration. So, and for people forget, Biden was the vice president under Obama. Biden used to go to Ukraine quite a bit when he was vice president, man. He was there all the time. So
yeah, and so that's the thing. There is a hunger, there's a desperation, and there is an appetite for NATO influence expanding eastward, very close to the Russian border. And by the way, you could just pull up a map, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know where the hell this is or what we're talking about. Pull up a map of Russia just so they can see how it looks geographically, so they can understand why it's such a threat from a geographical standpoint for Russia, or at least why they would see it that way. I'm giving you guys the angle as to why they attack. So if you zoom in there on eastern, so I believe the countries that border Russia is going to be Estonia, Latvia, Ukraine, and Belarus, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah.
All former, you guys can see here,
Union.
all former Soviet bloc.
Yes.
Because Russia has a huge country, as you guys can see. I zoom in here, it's like huge. Like this 11 time zones in this country, bro. It's huge.
Yeah, and so Belarus is a part of a Russian pact. I believe what it's called is the CSTO, and where they have this guaranteed alliance. They're pretty much a buffer state for Russia. Same thing with Latvia, Lithuania, and then Estonia if you go a little bit northern over there. But the biggest thing is look at how wide that border is and how much of that border is comprised by Ukraine if you go down a little bit. And so another thing just to think about from a geographical standpoint is if there is a very strong NATO and or EU presence that is anti-Russia, anti-Soviet Union, anti-communist, whatever it is, if that presence exists upon that border, that in and of itself, I mean, if you look at it geographically, is also a very large threat for Russia as well, because it's a very wide border to defend. And a lot of their critical gas pipelines that they have going into Europe lie just eastward of the farthest outstretched side of that border. So if you scroll in a little bit, just right there, scroll your mouse in and then move over to the right. A lot of the their natural gas pipelines run just eastern of the Donbass as well. So that's another security threat for Russia as well. And I can't remember the exact names. I haven't gone into extensive detail about it as well in some time. But that's kind of the lore as to what happened in 2014, why they annexed Crimea, because everything was just kind of falling in the face of Western intervention, especially the Euromaidan protests, which now Russia has accused the United States of several times of being in charge of and or fueling, which we know is true because that's the American way of regime change. And there's a lot of gun-smoking evidence for that as well. Go ahead.
They tried with Iran too and failed.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's always the method there. But Putin kind of saw and read between the lines, and so he tried to get ahead of it. And now to this day, Russia occupies a lot of Crimea, or all of Crimea, really, formerly annexed in 2014, and then a lot of the Donbass, like Donetsk, Luhansk, and a few other provinces that they're working at right now as I speak to gain more control of. But I'm not going to lie, it's kind of been a situation where Ukraine has been holding off. The Russian expansion has slowed considerably. And so you see a lot of the Western media news outlets saying Russia's losing, Russia doesn't know what to do. But it's really just that Ukraine has gotten very aggressive. But as a result, Russia responded, I believe, last week and hit Kiev with some of their hardest offensive that they've seen since 2022 when the war first broke out, and hit them with over 100 drone strikes, or 400 drone strikes, and 100 missile strikes. And as a result, lots of casualties, especially civilian casualties, and it's heartbreaking to see. But this really can all be solved. Like we say, these problems can be solved with a little bit less interventionism and the United States pulling back and telling Zelensky that he's got to end this war by guaranteeing that NATO and the EU and all these bioweapons will never be a threat against Russia. But it's just too far gone now, and that conflict is never going to end, even though Trump promised it'd be over in 24 hours. But as we see now, that's probably a harder conflict to end than the one in Iran, I'd argue. I mean, what do you think?
Someone said Ukraine lost like 30. No, they lost about 20% of their land. And here's the map right here that I got for you guys.
Yep.
This is roughly what Russia's controlling now. And they've had obviously Crimea for a very long time. But yeah, this is what the conflict has, what they've taken. They pushed way further than this, and they lost quite a bit of it. Because Ukraine's been able to do like offensive, but it's been like a tug of war back and forth, bro. It's been a grueling war of attrition over, dude. It's crazy. It's been 4 years now.
It's been 4 full years of this conflict. Yeah. 4 full years.
So,
and look, there's temporary, right? Just like Iran, and this is the nature of forever wars. You guys have to read between the lines here and have this pattern recognition. There's a ceasefire, and then Trump, meets with Putin, and then Trump says, don't worry, we're gonna have peace as long as Ukraine agrees to these terms, and then there's a drone there, there's a missile strike there, and it all falls on its face. And this is, again, the nature of these wars where, unfortunately, Western intervention does nothing except get a bunch of innocent people killed. Not to be super brash, but that's just kind of how this all started. But anything you wanted to kind of add?
No, I mean, just like also know that like a lot of these places in the East here are, huge Russian population. A lot of these people are ethnic Russians that are in these areas. So, they were probably going to leave it at some point anyway. But that's kind of what's been going on, and they've been fighting over this for a very long time, guys. This is why Russia's so sanctioned. This is why, I mean, Russia's been sanctioned since 2014 when they invaded Crimea. But yeah, it's been a very crazy war. I think we're talking about easily well over 1 million people dead or significantly injured. Lots of casualties on both sides. Obviously, Ukraine has lost more. They try to dress it up and say they haven't, but they have. And the thing with Ukraine is they're very low on manpower, and they're like kidnapping people to serve in the military there. But Ukraine's been able to rally back thanks to drone warfare. They've been using a lot of, asymmetric warfare strategies, and as well as the drone warfare has really been helping them out. So much so that the Gulf states actually brought Zelensky in to consult with drone warfare to combat Iran. Yeah. So Ukraine definitely knows what they're doing when it comes to drones.
100%. That's been largely a drone war, and that's just the new face of these wars now is drones, and it's no more. Obviously it's boots on ground, and we see the videos which are just unsettling. By the way, a lot of these videos that come out of Russia and Ukraine of these drones attacking soldiers. Either side, it's just unsettling to see, but that's kind of like the new way.
You got to be, and here's the thing, man, you got to be skeptical of anyone that's too pro-Russia or too pro-Ukraine. I think me and my brother are pretty neutral on this.
Yeah.
We don't really give a shit. We just kind of tell you guys what it is. We don't have a vested interest, but like, there's lots of people like Enforcer, for example, like he's super pro-Ukraine. Like, you can't trust these niggas, bro.
Yeah, and they just completely omit all of Russia's reason as to why they invaded in 2014, And it's like, oh, they're just invading because they're evil and they're authoritarians. And it's like, no, it's because a Western-backed leader and a temporary Ukrainian parliament was installed that was about to undermine any sort of influence they had in Eastern Europe. And Putin had to try and put a stop to it before it got too late. So I'm just giving the angle that the Russians.
I was about to say, is that?
Yeah, it's very important to understand why people do the things that they do. And then you get idiots like these guys who are clearly shills for Ukraine, for Israel. And it's like, what are you going to do? Right. And I think that's what actually made them big, was covering the Russia-Ukraine war and being very pro-Ukraine. The reason why I don't like Ukraine so much is because we shouldn't even be there wasting our time with this fucking war. It's fucking stupid. It's a waste of time, a waste of money. We spent an enormous amount of time and resources on it, and it's dumb.
So expensive.
I don't really see the strategic benefit of supporting Ukraine so much from a U.S. standpoint. Oh, it weakens Russia. All right, bro. I mean, is it really worth it for as long as that we've been involved? I mean, it is.
A lot of Europe is. Listen, we have NATO, we have the EU. There's no need to be aggressive in trying to seize Ukraine or have influence in Ukraine. And it's like, dude, we won this in 1991 when the Soviet Union fell after the Cold War. That's when the United States absolutely and unanimously won the #1 spot in the world without any debate. And so to try and aggressively pursue any more of that here in 2026, 2027 going on really soon for nothing more than a bunch of money and lots of casualties and nothing changing in the war, yeah, it's not worth it, especially when Ukraine is getting bold with these weapons that we give them and bold with the weapons that they're building now and attacking Russian oil infrastructure. And everybody's been saying, we all know the whole thing with this war, why it's so worrisome is because this is really two nuclear powers going against one another. Of course, not Ukraine, but Ukraine and the United States are really one. They're synonymous with each other in terms of going against Russia. And so this is a proxy situation, but Russia's got a nuclear weapon. The United States has got a nuclear weapon. And this war has only been escalating. Very slowly, but surely it's been escalating. And when one side starts attacking critical oil infrastructure, that is not good. So I'm not saying, oh, it's going to be a full-on nuclear war and be this fear-monger. I'm not saying that. People have been saying that for the last 4 years. But this has been one of those conflicts that everybody's been worried about, that in a matter of days or, even a few hours, a couple of the wrong moves, a couple of the wrong targets can warrant Russia to actually threaten nuclear, which they have kind of already flirted with a few times throughout this war. There have been a couple close calls, or at least too close for comfort, in my opinion. So,
yeah, I mean, I think NATO, Ukraine, all these different, I don't think it really serves us that much anymore, man. It really doesn't. I think diplomacy with Russia would be a lot better than the bullshit that we're doing now, spending all the money getting involved in these conflicts. Yeah, but it is what it is. This is remnants of the Biden administration. The Biden administration, I blame for getting us into this conflict or not doing enough to stop the conflict from happening. And now we're stuck in this fucking this quagmire, man. And then you think about it. What's going on in Iran? Obviously, Russia was able to make a bunch of money and become successful financially because of the Iran war. That's why Ukraine has been relentlessly bombing their oil infrastructure, because that's what's been making them a lot of money during the course of this conflict, because Russia's been selling oil and gas thanks to Strait of Hormuz being closed. So, this war, this Iran war has actually strengthened our enemies. People say, oh, it's a weakened our enemies. Not really, dude. Not really. I would argue it's strengthened them.
And it's also stretched our resources so wide and thin. We're so occupied with Iran now in the Strait of Hormuz. If we do need to step up in Ukraine, if we do need to do something in Ukraine, do we even possess the same ability to do it like we could have a couple years ago? I'm not saying I want us in Ukraine. I'm not saying I want Western intervention and Western support. I absolutely don't. But if, shit hits the fan and they need something, or we need to be there for any sort of situation, who knows? Things get really close and escalatory to the point where we're flirting with nuclear bombs being hurled at one another, or nuclear warheads. That's a possibility. People always like to think that it's further than it really is, but it's really not. And when you start attacking infrastructure, it can be closer than what meets the eye. And so where are we in the face of that when we're completely occupied in Iran and militarily, we're at some military advantage? I mean, I don't really think so. I think even militarily, some people can argue we're defeated because of all of the damage that we've suffered in the Gulf bases. So, we've got our hands full, and it's sad. It was supposed to be no new wars, and we've gotten a new war, and then the same war that was supposed to end is now getting far worse. So, like I said, I think I covered it by myself the other day, but your audience probably didn't see it. But Russia hit Ukraine really hard the other day, and we briefly went over it before we had Sneeko on that night.
I can look it up.
But we were going over it, yeah.
Let's go here. We'll go Russia, Ukraine. Let's see what the latest is. Yeah, I know they hit them really hard. They destroyed like an apartment building almost.
Yeah.
Okay, so they hit another oil refinery. Let's see here. NATO's $80 billion move could change the Ukraine war. Let's see here. Crimea situation. Like Russians complain about Ukrainian strikes. Yeah, you know what I've noticed, bro? The pro-Ukraine channels blow up in popularity.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This guy, I'm almost certain this guy, Preston Stewart, this guy's like a pro-Israel, pro-Ukraine guy. The Enforcer's a pro-Ukraine guy. These channels blow up. Meanwhile, you got people Coach Red Pill getting assassinated. You know what I mean? It's what the fuck is going on, bro?
It's crazy.
So, oh shit.
Yeah. No, and make no mistake, Ukraine is hitting Russia hard.
Yeah, they are. Especially now. Because they're hitting their energy infrastructure now.
Yeah.
Because they don't want Russia making money.
Not at all.
Okay, let me see if I can get an actual video here that isn't with dumbass.
It's usually European news that you're gonna have to watch, to be honest with you.
Times of India? Oh, okay, let's see.
Right. The ministry said the response to
no accent. Let's go.
Against our country will be decisive and devastating for the instigators. We reserve our right to respond to threats against us using all available forces.
Yeah, bro. NATO is nothing more than a fuck Russia gang.
And means.
That's all.
The statement.
That's what it is.
Did not specify what those
because all these Western European countries are too pussy to be able to take them on themselves. So that's literally what that's literally what NATO is, dude.
Available forces and means.
It's we don't like Putin, man. So we're just gonna go ahead and join together because we're all a bunch of bitch ass niggas.
Atlantic Treaty, fuck Putin organization, or what is it?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Would include
pretty much.
The wording mirrors previous Russian strategic doctrine, which allows for the use of the country's full military capabilities if the state faces what it considers an existential threat. Moscow also repeated its long-standing position that Western weapons supplied to Ukraine effectively make NATO countries participants in the conflict. Russian officials argued that arms deliveries prolong the war and undermine prospects for a negotiated settlement. Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has repeatedly stated that any shipment carrying military equipment intended for Ukraine becomes a legitimate military target for Russian forces once identified. Since the conflict began, Russia has regularly carried out missile and drone strikes against Ukrainian logistics hubs, rail networks, warehouses, and military industrial facilities, claiming many of those sites were involved in receiving Western weapons. The latest warning comes as NATO members continue expanding military support for Ukraine through air defense systems, armored vehicles, long-range weapons, and ammunition. At the recent NATO summit, leaders reaffirmed their commitment to sustaining military assistance for Kyiv, despite repeated warnings from Moscow. Russia has consistently argued that the growing flow of Western arms increases the risk of direct confrontation between Russia and NATO. Western governments reject that accusation, maintaining that military aid is intended to help Ukraine defend itself under international law.
I mean, that's one thing I actually agree with Trump and Marco Rubio on. Like, NATO is pointless and stupid.
As military support for Kyiv grows, so too does the risk that the conflict could widen beyond Ukraine's borders.
Is Putin preparing to widen the Ukraine war? A bombshell report claims the Russian president is...
I think they are going to start taking the gloves off here very soon. They've been holding back quite a bit with, obviously, because it's a delicate dance, right? You want to be able to obviously show aggression, be able to fight, but you also don't want to like get to a point where like you hit them so hard that like a nuclear bomb comes your way, right? So it's been a very delicate dance for the Russians. But yeah, as they continue to attack like their oil refineries and their gas and oil, basically their lifelines, their financial lifelines, because that's a big part of how Russia makes money, and they need it for obviously the conflict because it's expensive to wage a war.
And
yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish.
No. I was just gonna say like they're just attacking their lifelines financially so that they can fund the war. So they have to step it up on their end too.
And understand the Russian position as well. Ukraine and these escalation strikes hitting their infrastructure is worrisome. And people are going to argue Ukraine is defending himself or you defending itself, whatever. I'm not here to argue whether that's true or not. The biggest thing that people have to understand is Russia has a few simple demands and guarantees that they want, and a few things that they want the United States to promise to them and NATO to promise to them for them to end this war. And that's what Putin has kind of desperately been seeking. And as a result, they have not been in a full-on, all-out offensive like they could have been prior if they really decided to just end Ukraine in a matter of a few days, which they kind of possess the military capability in doing that. Their military triples the size of Ukraine. They have so much more infrastructure. They have so much more missiles. They have so much more drones. But they haven't used all of that, and that's because they just want a few key set of promises or certain circumstances they want met, and they'll stop the war. But it's just a matter of Ukraine actually capitulating. It's a matter of the United States and NATO actually being reasonable with Russia, which we haven't really given them any room. We haven't really tried to exercise diplomacy, at least honestly, especially in the last 2 years. So, we kind of had some hope when, Trump and Zelensky sat down and Trump was kind of berating him, but that's all kind of tarnished now. And it seems like this is just going to be a never-ending conflict until, Putin gets what he wants, because I don't think it's the goal. People are going to say, you're crazy, but I don't think it's the goal of the Russians to actually just completely destroy Ukraine, rather to kind of guarantee there's not going to be any threat against their border again. But this is what the mainstream rhetoric spews, is that Russia wants to completely annex all of Ukraine and destroy it and change the regime. And there's some truth to changing the regime. There's some truth to a Russian-backed leader, of course, but that's also the goal of the United States. So why is Russia inherently wrong for wanting the same thing, especially when it's close to their own homeland? And so that's something where hopefully the next president, because I don't think it's going to be this administration, steps in and takes care of in the first few weeks of their presidency, because this is a growing and an issue that seems to start affecting more than just Eastern Europe, but all of Europe as a whole. And it needs to end. It needs to end. So
if Poland, I said if China went into Mexico, and set up biological labs there, biological weapons there, and obviously was setting up base and everything else like that, we would go invade Mexico tomorrow. We'd get them out of there. So it's just funny how it's rules for thee, not for me, right? So it's like we can go ahead and protect our sovereignty and our national security, but like if another country does it, it's a problem. It's like, dude, we were totally influencing their politics right on their border. I mean, they're lucky. In 2014, we were doing that bullshit. So it's like, for that to go to 2022, they waited quite a bit of time. So we got to be honest here about we would have done the same exact thing, if not worse, and sooner had someone like a China invaded or was involved in Mexico. Would get them the fuck up out of there. So, I understand why Russia did what they did. Obviously, like I said before, the Biden administration was trash. They didn't even talk to Russia at all during the entire. I think after they invaded, they completely cut ties with talking to Russia. So, retarded.
Rejecting calls for peace and is instead leaning toward further military escalation, now towards NATO bases. The report comes just days after President Donald Trump said peace between Russia and Ukraine was closer than people realize, following separate conversations with Putin and Ukrainian President Zelensky. But sources familiar with the Kremlin's thinking say Putin has no intention of backing down.
Mr. Drippy, thank you so much for the 20, my friend. I'm just now seeing this.
To seize the remaining parts
Appreciate
of
that.
Ukraine's eastern Donbas region. One source claimed the Russian leader recently rejected suggestions from advisors to accept a ceasefire based on current.
Okay, here's another thing that you guys need to know. The reason why this war is like pretty much cooked is because both parties have like super maximalist demands and neither is going to concede.
Yeah.
Both of them have like, you know, like Ukraine wants them to completely pull out. You know, they're not going to recognize any of the territory that they've taken. Meanwhile, Russia's like, no, you guys got to completely, you know, surrender and not join NATO for like 20 years. Like both parties have like maximalist demands and neither party wants to concede whatsoever, not even an inch. So, and it's because both parties have lost a significant amount have a significant amount of casualties. So they're looking at it like, we're not going to let all our people die in vain. That's literally how both sides are looking at it. And, you know, yeah.
It's come to the point of no return where the United States has to step in and make the decision for Ukraine. It's just that simple. Because we're not going to make the decision for Russia. The fuck? So,
yeah.
You know.
But here's the crazy part. Even if we said we're not helping this no more, I think Western Europe will still get involved and continue to enable them.
Most likely. Very likely.
I think even if we pulled out, they'd still get in and they'd give them the money and the resource because they look at it like, well, we don't want Russia to span closer to Western Europe.
Yeah, 100%. But it's like that just wasn't happening, you know, prior to even 2014. That wasn't happening. Obviously, we had the Russian leader in Ukraine, but that's all they really had. They got Belarus, they got a couple buffer states, but they just lie upon Russia's border, and that's the situation or the reality of any real large empire. So, you know, this quote-unquote Russian threat, whether legitimate or not, is not going to be extinguished, you know, dependent or contingent upon Ukraine. You know, so it's all so futile. But no, you're completely right. There definitely will be far more intervention and a lot more mobilization from a lot of Western European countries, like the United Kingdom, likely and others. So,
yeah.
Front lines. The report says Ukraine's recent drone attacks on Russian oil refineries, ports, and energy facilities have only strengthened Putin's resolve. One person
I just realized, bro, it's 12:30. What's your cutoff time? I fucking went way longer. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. We can finish this. Let's finish this, and then we're. Did you want to go over the hearing, preliminary hearing? You want to do a little bit of that? I don't know if we have time though. I don't know how extensive you wanted to get into that.
Yeah, I was gonna recap like the 5 days or whatever. I'd probably go on OSS and do it though. But I mean, if you want to get involved, then it's up to you, man. I don't know if I know you.
No, I do. I actually lost track of time too. I have to tap off, or I'm gonna be cooked tomorrow. Here's what we'll do, because guys, if you haven't been paying attention, my brother's been covering the trial very closely, the whole preliminary hearing, and then very soon is the trial after this, of course, right? Not the trial. The preliminary hearing is what you're covering, but the trial is coming up next.
Yeah, the prelim is done. They did their 5 days. And then they're going to have the trial probably at the end of the year is what I'm estimating. But yeah, the reason why the prelim took so goddamn long is because obviously, as you guys can see here, the state has quite a bit of evidence. And it took the defense a while to be able to prepare their rebuttal for the prelim, which is basically kind of like a mini trial to establish probable cause. But that's what basically went down the past couple of days. So I'll do a recap on that and we'll go from there. But yeah, we could finish the geopolitical stuff first before we even switch into that.
Okay.
That Russia could escalate the conflict in the coming months. Adding to concerns, Russian military commentators have publicly discussed possible future strikes beyond
the super chatter
Ukraine.
who asked about that guest last time, he chatted again. He said, Amadio Lados. He's a Spanish dude. You guys had him before. Does that ring a bell? Amadio Lados. Okay.
Oh, I'll roll.
All right.
Former Russian Defense Ministry official Andrei Ilnitsky suggested Russia could target major Ukrainian industrial sites before considering attacks on NATO-linked military facilities in the Baltic states and Romania. Military analysts warned that any strike on NATO territory could trigger a direct confrontation with the alliance under Article 5 collective defense commitments. Some experts believe Moscow may instead seek limited actions designed to test NATO's unity without provoking a full-scale war.
Well, we've settled
Not
a
sure
lot
how you
of
can
wars.
achieve both of those things at the same time, but okay.
It's gonna be tough.
That's hard.
And this one is the one that I thought maybe would be the easiest. But Putin's a difficult character, and this guy's a difficult character. It's not
Yeah, both of them are hard-headed Eastern Europeans, bro.
the easiest, not the easiest thing. And there's a lot of commitment.
He always shits on Zelensky right in his face.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think here. Like when Zelensky did his interview with Lex, he did the interview in Ukrainian, right?
I believe he did. Yeah.
Let me double check because I remember that was a big deal. Bro, have you seen Lex Friedman, by the way? I don't see this nigga anywhere anymore.
He's kind of went through his generational run. He had a few of the big names on kind of like last year and the year before, but I haven't seen too much of him recently, no.
Because I remember, 1 year ago, 7.4 million in under 10 minutes, Kiev Independent. And I think they did the interview because I know this dude is Russian. I know Lex Friedman is Russian.
Тільки одне. Передусім Сполучених Штатів, якщо ви впевнені, якщо у вас є докази, якщо ви з ним
I remember there was like a whole argument about would they do the interview in English and Russian and Ukrainian, blah, blah, blah.
розмовляєте, він вам каже, що буде вторгнення. Якщо вас це все лякає, перше, я не прошу докази, просто дайте мені дві речі.
And this is obviously a year ago, so this is like, obviously not as the most recent. I don't know what he's speaking in this. I don't know if this is Russian or Ukrainian. It sounds very
Eastern
similar.
European.
I know the religious is like, Slavic language. I know I know Ukrainian and Russian are very similar. But yeah.
Well, all of those countries, it's all Soviet Union, right? So like Estonia, Belarus, they're all like, I think all of those countries speak Russian as well, and then they speak their own languages, if I'm not mistaken. Like there's Belarusian, and then there's Russian, and then, same thing in Ukraine, but.
Okay, so they're saying in the chat he's speaking Ukrainian. They share about 70% of the language. Yeah, and I think he on purpose did the interview in Ukrainian, to show solidarity. This is why he never wears a suit, by the way, chat. I know a lot of you guys wonder why he never wears a suit. He's always in military garb to signify that their country's in war.
So love of the countries and everything else, but I think we've made a lot of progress in the last couple of weeks, and we'll see how it all goes.
Translation: no progress.
How could he say so? Dude, the last few weeks have been some of the worst escalations in a while, like in the last year, and he said we're making progress the last few weeks. Okay.
Stick lying, bro.
That's just like Trump is the most blatant liar. Look, every politician lies, but they at least kind of dance their way through the bullshit. Trump just bullshits you straight to your face. Like, no dancing, no feint. It's just like a full-blown lie. Like, don't worry, we're making lots of progress. Meanwhile, Russian lines for gas are miles long. Okay. Anyways.
Dmitry Peskov, however, said Russia remains open to what it calls a peaceful resolution. However, he added that Moscow
peaceful resolution, which means Ukraine has to do everything they say.
Has enough military capability to continue its special military operation.
Niggas are still calling it that? They're still calling it the special.
Yeah, he said, I think in February when he invaded, he said it's going to be a special military operation.
That.
Yeah, aka full-blown fucking invasion.
Yeah,
that was
that's
crazy.
Hilarious.
That was crazy.
They're still calling it the special military operation? Come on, man.
Yeah, Grim Reaper in the chat. I get that. I know it's 3 different countries with distinctive cultures, but I know Russian plays a role in that because of the history. But no, I understand that. I'm not going to be an asshole on that. So, good point. But go ahead.
That's comedy, man.
Independently.
Undoubtedly, this is an event that generates a great deal of interest, including our interest. We, of course, will be tracking all the news and all the information that will be coming from Ankara. In the context of preparing for this summit, we heard many statements that concerned our country. To our regret, these were not statements about constructive interaction and dialogue, but rather statements of a confrontational nature. Ukraine constantly asks for new types of weapons, both defensive and offensive in nature. This cannot in any way impede.
Bro got the 80s porno stash.
the continuation
that's
of
a
the special
crazy,
military
crazy
operation
facial
until its
situation,
goals are achieved. At the same time, as always, I would like to reiterate.
Bro, looks like he's in the 1990s. He's stuck in the 1990s,
Yeah, dude,
man.
the pinstripe suit, the fucking maroon tie. It's like, dude.
Yeah,
it's
bro,
not.
in 1996.
This nigga just got out of a coma,
For
bro.
us, a political and diplomatic settlement of this conflict remains the preference, and only in the absence of the Kiev regime's readiness for a peaceful settlement does the special military operation continue until our goals are fully achieved.
It is absolutely clear that the enemy aims to damage the economy, but most importantly, they aim to create a nervous atmosphere in society.
Yeah, I mean, they were hitting Moscow, man. Something that you would never think would ever happen.
Would have ever happened. Imagine saying that in 2022, 2023. Even when Trump first got elected, that was unheard of, and now it's like happening pretty much. So
yeah. Consistently.
And Trump is the one who kind of mongered that. You know, Trump is the one who kind of fed to that. I remember Trump asking Zelensky, like, do you think your missiles could hit Ukraine? Or sorry, do you think your missiles could hit Moscow? Why the fuck would you ask him that? You know, so there's been some provocative behavior on the U.S. side, too, to try and fear Putin into capitulating.
Yeah.
That's just not going to, like, okay, I'm sorry to be the one or the bearer of bad news here and red pill everybody. You know, you're not going to scare Vladimir Putin by saying we're going to hit you with missiles in your capital city. Like, that's just not how it works. So, you know.
And it's a delicate balance because, like, as a nuclear power, you have to be able to, like, you know, show aggression without going too hard, and without, like, you know, you also don't want to, you know, get full NATO involvement either. So it's like a very delicate balance of, like, showing enough aggression to, like, deter and damage without simultaneously, like, completely evaporating them to invite aggression from the United States and NATO, right?
Exactly.
So,
but right now, we're kind of starting to approach the crossroads where things are getting really aggressive. And so maybe what will happen is, you know, the United States gets involved as per always really in the last 4 years. And then there's a ceasefire and then things calm down and then things grow back up in tension again. Hopefully that's the case. But, you know, you never want to see it grow to the point where NATO is completely involved. And that's the idea that Russia's flirting with now is like, how hard can we hit NATO? How hard can we see, you know, how loyal they are to one another without actually building a complete coalition against us, like all of them acting in unison. So that's a worrisome tactic from Russia as well. At this point, it wouldn't be far beyond reality if they tried that.
Yeah.
The margin of Russia's power system is very high, one of the highest in the world. We just need to organize the work with vertically integrated companies, reach agreements faster so that they do not hoard the product exclusively within their own distribution network, within their gas stations, but would supply the necessary products to independent gas stations. Yes, and Kobzev's proposal should also be considered, and we must expand.
Are there still crazy lines in Russia for gas, or no? Did they fix that problem?
Currently, I don't know, but last week that was the case. Let's see. And it's really, guys, just for information, to find honest coverage of what's happening in Russia is difficult. So you have to be careful what you're seeing as well. Because, of course, Western media outlets are going to exacerbate it or make it seem like it's way worse than it may actually possibly be. But gas queues are growing in Ukraine, too. Russia's been hitting Ukrainian gas supply as well, so it's kind of been like back and forth. Seems like it's still the case, yeah. Because it was going viral on TikTok. So, like, a lot of TikTokers were, you know, like, filming themselves in the lines, like, getting out and hanging out with each other, sitting down, like, setting up picnics while they're waiting for the gas. And then there was, like, videos of people trying to ration the gas and, like, salvage it, and they'd get in trouble if they brought, like, gas canisters. They would, of course, get in trouble by the law, but that's what happens when you enter a fuel crisis, right? Like, people start grabbing more, then it makes it worse. So it seems like it's still ongoing. How bad is it across the entire country? I don't know. I can't get a clear answer on that.
The opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses to produce petroleum products as quickly as possible.
The situation on the peninsula in Sevastopol remains complex. Sergei Valerievich and I report to you constantly. You are aware of all the difficulties, so I will not dwell on them in detail. Now, thanks to the colossal efforts of the transport sector, as Andrei Sergeyevich mentioned, logistics are being maintained with the.
So it's saying, yes, but it's primarily a refined fuel, gasoline, diesel crisis, not a natural gas shortage. So, as of right now, Russia is experiencing a significant domestic fuel crisis triggered by Ukrainian drones and missile strikes on oil refineries since 2025, which is worse than in 2026. So basically, it's the refining capacity being hit hard. So roughly 20 to 45% offline due to attacks. Processing volumes dropped to lows not seen in decades. Widespread shortages by early July 2026 in most regions, up to 78 to 83 reported fuel restrictions or shortages. So yeah, it affects motorists, agriculture, harvest risk, businesses, and military logistics.
So here, take a look. I actually have this video from CNN, and again, it's from CNN, but it shows a lot of like these viral TikToks and stuff. The whole compilation of it. I'm gonna go ahead and show you my screen right now.
I can stop sharing. Hold on.
Yeah, or you can keep it up. This is very quick. It's just a short, but you can see here.
Two women screaming at each other over a spot in line at a Moscow gas station. Well, scenes like this are becoming more common as intensifying Ukrainian drone attacks spark fuel shortages and panic buying. Well, CNN's analysis shows that at least 50 of Russia's regions, well over half, are now officially reporting supply problems. Unofficial reports coming from almost everywhere else. From Siberia to Moscow, there are lines forming.
And so you can see the lines here.
Outside gas stations.
And it seems to be the case in many areas.
In the southern Krasnodar region, a video emerged showing two women berating a man for filling up a gas canister. Multiple Russian regions have banned this to prevent stockpiling. Other Russians are coping with humor, turning hours-long waits into makeshift tailgate parties, joking that the best.
Well, this shows something as well, right? This is important, not to kind of overanalyze, but what's the morale like among the populace, right? Like what is their favorability of the war? Of course, it's less than it was 4 years ago. That's just the nature of humans when their government is involved in a long-winded conflict like we saw in Iraq. Now even Iran, people are tired of it. So, of course, it's a situation with Russia, but, of course, as well, that fact exists simultaneously that Russian populace understands why Russia actually invaded in 2022 and why they annexed Crimea in 2014. They're not blind to that. They actually see the reason. They see the motivations for the Russian government attacking Ukraine and things like that. So it's one of those situations where they're having to suffer through the necessary circumstances in order to protect their sovereignty. And I think a lot of the Russian base or civilians look at it that way, like this is a necessary evil. It's unfortunate. It's annoying. But no doubt about it, I don't want to cope. The favorability of this war and Putin will suffer as a result of, supply shortages. That's just the way it goes.
Date night is now waiting for a fuel tanker to arrive, and that the most expensive Russian perfume is now gasoline. Well, this is getting so much attention that President Putin has had to address.
See what I'm saying? Some of them are good-spirited. Doesn't seem like there's civil unrest yet. I don't know.
So much attention that President Putin has had to address this, warning that Ukraine's attacks are not just about causing physical damage, but what he called an information operation.
Okay, so what Putin is saying here.
We got to censor the media. He's like, we got to fuck this shit. We got to censor the media.
State-sponsored media only. Shut the rest of the shit down.
Yeah, shut these niggas down. They're all American propagandists.
So he says, in order to at minimum create uncertainty for us, or even better to lead to a schism in Russian society.
All of this.
Okay, so they didn't even show the whole thing, but pretty much what he's saying, and we saw some of it in that video that my brother was just playing, is they've got to counteract a lot of the propaganda, and Ukraine is doing this intentionally to divide the people.
Add to Russia's economic pain. Higher fuel prices, of course, mean.
Yo, that's crazy. If this is real, that's crazy. Look at this line.
Higher fuel prices, of course, mean higher inflation. But there's no evidence yet that it's going to convince Putin.
That's kind of smart that if you look at it from a military strategic standpoint, that's actually smart that Ukraine is not just attacking like oil fields, rather attacking the refereneries.
Yeah.
Because the refineries are the ones that actually, the refineries are the ones that are actually like, making it, for actual use, like civilian
supply shortage.
Use.
Yeah.
So you hit it at a smaller, you hit it in a more sensitive area to really create panic.
Strategically, it's brilliant, but from a functionality perspective, it does nothing because you think because there's a few lines, Vladimir Putin's going to stop the war. Oh, no, my people don't have gas. Like, he's been in this for 4 years. He's not about to stop because there's a little bit of less gas for the populace. Like, that's just not how it's going to go, especially with somebody like Putin. But, hey, whatever.
And then also, so I got right here, basically, So the war is now obviously in its 5th year, remains grinding. So latest developments as of mid-July 2026. Front lines, Russia's spring-summer 2026 offensive has made only marginal high-cost gains, mainly tactical creeping advances and around areas like Kostanyanivka in Donetsk Oblast. Russian forces seized and infiltrated roughly 30 kilometers in June 2026. Damn, that's nothing. A tiny fraction of 2025's pace at enormous cost. So they're gaining, but like at a rate that's not really sustainable.
Considerably slower than before.
And like me and you said earlier, we're right on the money. Overall, Russia still occupies about 20% of Ukraine. Ukrainian strikes intensified, deep strikes on Russian oil refineries, which we were discussing earlier, and the shadow fleet of tankers in the Sea of Azov. Drones and missiles are targeting energy infrastructure, logistics, and occupied areas like Crimea. And so you guys, like I said before, guys, this is why it's so important to understand the greater geopolitical ramifications. The reason why Ukraine started targeting Russian oil so hard and Russian refineries is because of the Strait of Hormuz being closed and Russia stepping up and being a supplier of oil and getting a bunch of fucking money. So they had to stop that flow of money because that flow of money is being used against them, obviously, because you know all that money they're making, they're investing it right back into the conflict. So that's why they have to start attacking Russia's energy abilities. So Russian strikes, recent major waves of missiles and drones in Kiev. That's what me and my brother were talking about. They hit them really hard last week. Early July, killing dozens of civilians, injuring many more. Secondary explosions from strikes on warehouses and residential areas have caused additional damage. And then diplomacy. President Trump has been engaging both sides with calls to Putin and Zelensky, pushing for a resolution, but sources indicate Putin is likely to escalate rather than negotiate seriously for now. NATO Western support continues amid debates over aid speed. And then the war is characterized by high Russian equipment losses, drones, artillery, vehicles, and Ukraine's improving ability to hit deep targets. And yeah, that's why Ukraine's been far more aggressive, is because of the Iran conflict.
Yeah. They know there's a gap. They know there's going to be a lapse in U.S. response, and they're taking advantage of it.
So right now, here's the casualties as of early July, okay? Russia, 1.4 million total casualties, including 400,000 to 500,000, between 400 to 450K killed. Monthly rates recently as of 30 to 34,000. And then Ukrainian claims are higher, 1.4 million total losses. 1.4 million total.
Yeah,
so,
horrible.
Yeah, Ukraine is, they're saying, so they're saying for Ukraine, 525 to 625 total casualties, including 125 to 150,000 killed. So, yeah, we'll see. Civilian deaths, tens of thousands, most Ukrainian.
And it spiked, I think from what you read earlier, sorry, I don't know if I missed it. It spiked back up at the end of June. And then that's where the whole tit for tat situation started happening. Ukraine got really aggressive at the end of June, and then Russia's been responding slowly but surely. And I just haven't had the time to cover it, but this has kind of been ongoing for all of July and all of the end of June. Like from June 20th is when the escalations really started.
So this is, okay, so they're saying, okay, so Russia, they're saying, just so I make sure I have this right, CSIS and other aligned reports are reporting 400 to 450K killed at Russia, okay? And then Ukraine is saying 125 to 150,000 killed in Ukraine. So these are independent estimates from CSIS. Official numbers are not fully disclosed by either side, and figures vary across sources. Russia has suffered significantly higher loss overall, roughly 3-to-1 ratio or higher in recent periods. The war has been extremely costly in lives for both. Now, I will say this, 125 to 150K killed for Ukraine is quite a bit because they're a significantly smaller country. Let me see here what they're, because Russia, I think, stands at over 1 million in their military.
Yeah, you're on the money.
Let me see here. Ukraine, total military. Yeah, so 600 to 900,000 personnel. And then Russia,
it's over 1 million, if I'm not mistaken.
1.32 million.
Yeah.
So if you go off percentages, it seems like it's roughly the same amount, roughly 1.32 million active duty military personnel, and then 2 million reserve, and another 250K for paramilitary forces. So interesting, very, very interesting. I'll keep playing this though.
Military's help and supplies are increasing. Nevertheless, it has not yet returned to a normal state. And for example, Sevastopol currently receives on average only 1/3 of the city's daily needs, Of course, as Alexander Valentinovich said, we primarily supply essential services, and when some volumes accumulate, we then release fuel for limited sale to the public. But that is not even the main problem right now. Vladimir Vladimirovich, you are aware of it too. Unfortunately.
And just so you guys know, no one knows the real numbers. Both sides have been keeping the cards close to their chest. It could be way less. It could be way more. We don't even know what the casualties are. That's why, like, if you guys notice, no one really even asks about it or talks about it that much, because both sides are highly incentivized to lie.
Same thing with the U.S. and the Iran war. I'm probably lying about our numbers as well. It's just always the case when something's ongoing.
Didn't they say 4 people died today? Wasn't there a talk like they said some service? I saw, well, it's Iranian media. Oh, can't trust that. Yeah, there was talks that that some people died. If you could look it up, I don't know. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna take a quick piss.
Unfortunately, it so happened that there were no gas stations of vertically integrated companies on the peninsula. Only large private traders are operating there. And due to logistics difficulties as well as issues related to exchange purchases, the price on the peninsula has now more than doubled. For example, the most popular 95-octane gasoline costs 197 rubles at official gas stations today, while at vertically integrated company stations in the neighboring Krasnodar territory, it is 73.5 rubles. We have appealed to the government of the Russian Federation and have received preliminary support from our Ministry of Energy to establish a subsidized price for gasoline during this period, so our gas stations can purchase it and supply the peninsula. This would significantly ease the situation right now, and then we will manage the logistical challenges. That is all from Vladimir Vladimirovich.
Yes, Alexander Valentinovich Novak, please respond to this. Go ahead.
Yes, Vladimir Vladimirovich, the governor is right that there are no vertically integrated companies there. Historically, there have always been private companies that handled supply and accordingly sells through their own gas stations. Currently, the resources supplied to Crimea and Sevastopol come from vertically integrated companies because we have no other resources. Fuel producers at oil refineries are exclusively our vertically integrated companies. And due to the complications in logistics, for obvious reasons, routes and delivery methods have changed. So fuel, of course, now costs more than in other regions, even at cost price. But that is the first factor. The second factor is that due to the shortage, the resulting prices are higher than the cost. And this is more of a market speculative factor. We are looking into this together with the Federal Anti-Monopoly Service. Overall, if we talk about leveling it to a relatively economically justified level in line with other regions, then of course such subsidies.
Sorry, this guy Frank was on my bed, bro. This nigga always does that shit. Just jumps on.
Required for the regions.
Did you have anything you wanted? Did you need me to pause it for anything, or?
No, not yet.
And we are ready to review this situation together with our colleagues from Crimea and Sevastopol.
Yes, but let us agree that the wording will be different. Not just ready to consider, not just to consider, but to consider and make a decision.
Yeah, this could be a forever war, bro. This thing has the makings of a conflict that could like take 10 years, bro.
Literally.
As quickly as possible. No need to delay.
I mean, man, it's about to be 5 years. It's about to be. We're not that far away from it being 5 years. You know,
about to be 5 years. Yeah,
it's half a decade already.
But at the same time, it is.
Yeah, I mean, Russia got 20%, which, you know, I guess is not bad, but
it's probably satisfactory for them as long as they can get NATO to comply. That'll be enough for them.
Working in close contact with Alexander Valentinovich, with our colleagues at the Ministry of Energy, and with the Rosneft company. As you mentioned, we have already concluded a number of contractual agreements today between independent oil companies and Rosneft, which allows us to understand what the projected situation will be.
All right, but you confirm what I said, right? Also, the interaction between major companies, Rosneft in particular, and the region.
Dude, this AI translator is creepy.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. But no, man, it's 1 o'clock, bro. I know I've been fucking holding you here for a minute.
No, you're good.
We
You're
keep
good.
going?
That's good coverage, anyways. Yeah. We don't have that much left in the video.
Ivanovich and I are in constant contact. Indeed, at a certain stage, he helped
If you want to finish it, though.
Well, I understand.
You want to finish it, or you want to move on to Kirk? I'll drop whenever you're ready to go.
Did you want to join in on that? It's up to you.
No, let's do.
It's up to you.
Hey, man, the evidence is compelling. That's all I'll say. The evidence is it's compelling, but we'll wait for everything to finalize. You know, allegedly they have the video evidence. No one's seen it yet except those inside the court. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. But from what I'm hearing, not from what I'm seeing, but from what I'm hearing, you know, it's compelling. But, you know, we've got to see it. We've got to make our own conclusion on it. I mean, what do you think so far?
I definitely want to go to the trial.
Yeah.
I definitely want to go to the trial. What the fuck? It says here Todd Robinson's talking decision on whether to testify. What the fuck? Okay, hold on one sec.
No, do we have a breaking development here?
No, well, I mean, it came out 2 days ago. I'll show it real quick. What the fuck? There ain't no way. Putting him on the stand would be the dumbest thing you could do.
Thank you. All right, do the parties wish to be heard as it relates to this briefly, and then the court will issue its ruling.
Your Honor, I actually just want to make a quick record. We have advised Mr. Robinson of his right to testify at this hearing, and he is
at this hearing.
choosing to take our advice.
Oh, wait, I was like, wait, what? Well, even at this hearing, hell no.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Mr. Robinson? And I note that he's nodding in the affirmative. Thank you, Ms. Visser. All right. In regards to the outstanding issue.
Yeah, you have the right to testify, but you probably shouldn't.
About the publication of State's Exhibit 12.1 to the courtroom only, to persons here. Any further input from any of the parties before the court issues its ruling?
Your Honor, Jeff Nyman on behalf of the victim. My understanding is you ruled yesterday that you were going to play it, that you did grant our request. So I don't know if we...
Thank you.
Judge, I might simply add, given the court's ruling this morning with respect to displaying exhibits, we may want to make a record with the live streaming folks here that it's not going to be published.
Thank you. All right. Nothing further from any of the parties? Okay. I'm just updating some notes. All right. The court wishes to readdress yesterday's ruling in light of this morning's sanction as it relates.
Yeah, I mean, that would be absolutely ridiculous if you were to testify. Yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead. Let's finish up Russia real quick, and then I'm gonna cut to OSS. I'll cover the prelim over there.
You did not,
because we're gonna that's gonna be pretty extensive.
Expand the gas station.
I'll do a full recap, and then we'll see where we go from here.
Network, but increased fuel supplies to the existing gas stations, right?
Yes. But the fact that at a certain stage, starting from May, the volumes that were paid for through the exchange were simply suspended.
Understood.
And today, this situation has begun to improve.
On average, the subsidy we are requesting from the government is around 85 rubles per liter of fuel, give or take.
We must, of course, provide for them. Thank you very much. We must, of course, provide for the needs of government agencies, law enforcement, and security services. That is obvious. And keeping in mind that citizens should not feel any significant burden, a decision on subsidies should be made as quickly as possible. Alexander Valentinovich, please work this out with the Ministry of Finance, and if any support from my side is needed, although I think the Ministry of Finance understands everything as well. These are temporary matters. These are completely obvious things also related to actions to disrupt the evacuation season, the evacuations of our citizens in the south of the country, including in Crimea, but actions to support the people who live there and those who came for evacuation must be carried out now, not sometime later. We need to make these decisions as quickly as possible, calculate them together with colleagues from the region, and make a decision. It is absolutely clear that the enemy aims to damage the economy, but most importantly, they aim to create a nervous atmosphere in society. We understand that this task is impossible. The safety margin of Russia's power system is very high, one of the highest in the world. We just need to organize the work with vertically integrated companies, reach agreements faster, so that they do not hoard the product exclusively within their own distribution network, within their gas stations, but would supply the necessary products to independent gas stations. Yes, and Kobzev's proposal should also be considered, and we must expand the opportunities for small and medium-sized businesses to produce petroleum products as quickly as possible. Do everything possible to ensure that everything functions normally for us. As the Minister of Agriculture reports to me, there are no supply problems in the agricultural sector at this time. Everything is provided for there, and I hope it stays that way. I ask you to make prompt decisions, and Alexander Valentinovich and the Minister of Transport, you must report to me, and the Prime Minister on an ongoing basis, of course.
What the fuck?
AI translator putting in work.
Yeah, he was really putting. Hey, I'm just happy that we didn't have no Indian accents, bro. That was what I was worried about. Was like Indian accents. I was like, bruh, come on.
Dude, I'm
man.
just shocked we actually got coverage of the war. There's been really a lack of Western coverage of the war, but that's just because Iran is more important right now. So, you know, lots of, talk about MAGA, man, huh? America's great again.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'll let you cut to, I saw what you just tweeted. I'll let you cut to OSS and then.
Yeah, I had to drop a couple, because I'm going to cover a little bit of Red Pill stuff right now, and then I'll switch over there.
Okay, perfect. Well, we'll do this. We'll jump back on
Tuesday?
Either tomorrow or Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday is good.
Let's do Tuesday.
And yeah, we'll go over whatever changes in Iran. Man, honestly, the situation in Iran is just a repeat, but hopefully something good comes of all these developments. Maybe something like a actual ceasefire, like maybe Trump actually yelling at Netanyahu, not the Axios bullshit, but that's unlikely. But we'll see. And then we'll keep up with the situation in Ukraine and Russia as well, because no one's covering that. So I don't see a lot of people on YouTube really giving it any coverage.
Even bitch ass enforcer, first time I've seen him do it for a minute too. So yeah. But yeah, no, I'll cover some Red Pill shit real quick because I didn't get a chance to do it, and then I'll
Sounds good.
and then I'll cover the Kirk stuff. But yeah, you go ahead and get some sleep, bro, because you got work tomorrow.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Matrix is calling, so I'll catch you, man. But I'm gonna send everybody over to you. So guys, if you're in my stream now, go over to Kick, and my brother's gonna continue on probably for the better part of the rest of the night, right? You're gonna be on for a little while.
I'll be on for a bit. Yeah, I'll be on for a bit.
All right, so I'm gonna pin that in my chat right there. Head over there, guys, to finish up the stream. I'm gonna hop off and get some rest, and I'll see you guys on Tuesday. All right, bro. I just pinned your link. I'm gonna get out of here.
All right, man. Later. Get some rest.
All right, bro.
Peace.
All right. That's pinned in the chat. Love all of you guys. Appreciate it. Let me make sure I didn't miss out on the super chats before I get off. Again, Mr. Drippy, thank you. I told you that, but I was a little late, so my apologies. And then that is his Kick stream right there. I just pinned it for you if you can't find it, although chat's not moving that fast, so you should be able to see it. Go over to mine, show him some love. Love all of you guys. Appreciate the support thus far. And yeah, be back on Tuesday, if not Wednesday, but one of those 2 days for sure. Guys, have a great night. God bless. I appreciate all the ongoing support. And anything else I want to plug? No, that's it. Peace. Have a great night.